welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen. Hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Good to see you all. Some familiar faces here. Hello, Fred. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm back again.
Back again. I love it. We have, by the way, some breaking news about VizRT and TriCaster and Zoom. It just broke in the Discords thanks to our man on the inside. So we'll talk about that. But first, we'll finish making the rounds. Hello, Robert.
Hey, good to see you. That's better now. I can see you've got some mics. Good to see you, David.
Everything going well?
Going well. Been reorganizing my setup. So checking out my meters again. And
now
I'm going to ask you later on to
that.
We're just getting rid of all of the Windows-based machines and putting in Mac Minis because Windows is coming up to the end of, well, Windows 10 is coming up to the end of the service period. So we got rid of all of them. And instead of buying new Windows machines, we bought Mac Minis. So we got a whole stack of them. It's very exciting.
That's fantastic. Good for you.
And so the meters are running and using shortcuts to get everything up and running, popping up and running. It's really cool.
Awesome, but my meters are stuck.
I hope they work for you because I bought some Mac Minis a few years ago and they're terrible.
No, the new ones?
Matter of fact, I'm going to throw them in the trash can. They're so bad. It takes 3 minutes for a page to load.
No, not on the new ones.
The old ones were terrible.
I have an old one here. I love it. Like, I don't know how old, but it was an M series?
No. The old ones.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Yeah, they sucked.
Yeah. What the heck? Like, what? Who even has an Intel computer like, why? Tony, why?
Well, because I bought them a long time ago when I got brought to the dark side. I was always a PC guy, and somebody said one day, you should check out a Mac and you should get an iPhone. And so I went to the dark side, and unfortunately, I got burned. I bought two of them. I bought one for my vacation home, and I bought one for my stereo, and they both suck.
Okay. Are you feeling better now that you've got that out of your system? Goodness gracious. Tony Mobley, how are you, sir?
I am fine. Feeling great. Just glad to be here.
Good. I'm trying to get my meters to kick up again. Maybe Haswick will tell me his secret, because my meters, like, oh, see, now they're going again.
And they're on a Mac Mini, aren't they?
Oh, they are on a Mac Mini, actually. Wait, now they're gone again. Come back. Okay, now I want this to stay here. I want this to go away.
And you're on a new one, right? You're on the M series?
So this is an M1. Wait, why are you...
Sorry, I'm just giving it back to you a little bit.
Later. Yes, no, this is an old M1. The truth is, I would love I have the M4 MacBook Pro. I'd love the new M4 Mac Mini, but everything's working so far. So when I need it, I'll get it. Tony's good. John Drinkwater is busy at work. I don't mean to interrupt you, John. How are you?
Always a welcome interruption from you guys.
Good.
It's been warm this week, and it's going to be cold next week, and that's what you get in the UK.
And
no consistency.
He's got a little Mac Mini sitting there on the desk.
I have a Mac Mini. I also have a Mac Studio, last year's Mac Studio as well. Yeah,
and by the way, there are new studios that came out. That kind of went under the radar. Like, no one talked about that. But there are two brand new Mac Studios that came out.
Yeah, and it's also very confusing because the M4 is slower than the M3 because it's a double up M3, which makes it more powerful.
It's Ultra versus, Thank you, Mac, for your naming conventions. Hasmukh Gajar, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. Mrs. Secretary of Homeland is away, so I can while away the time,
That's fantastic. Hasmukh, do your meters ever get stuck?
Yes, they do often.
So how do you toggle them? What's the magic?
Mostly our problem is when the window's not active. meaning your mouse cursor is somewhere else besides that meter window.
And how do you, is there a trick to toggle it on or off?
Well, yeah. No, my sound engineer often forgets these niceties when he brings up the meter. So he always places the mouse cursor somewhere else on the screen besides being on the meter. So you just got to make sure you click and make the window active.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
Just a quick question on that before you continue, if I can, David. And Asma, how are you capturing the plugin screen to put it into a virtual camera?
Mimo Live.
You have a dedicated Mimo Live just for that?
Mm-hmm.
I did, and following his lead, I did the same thing for this meeting with, I'm just using Ecamm, same idea though. But now it's not going to work, but I think I showed this last time. Yeah, because I don't have it open. But they did build it in. You can now get meters in
Mimo.
Oh, can you do it in Mimo too?
No, not yet. I think you can do it in Ecamm.
Yeah, you can do it in Ecamm. I have to find here there, LM meters. So you can, again, it's just going to register me. It's not going to do the whole meeting because I'm not in the meeting with Ecamm. But what's nice is that I can now get this. I don't need a dedicated machine.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been using a dedicated machine in OBS, and OBS has just been hanging on me. It sort of gets slower and slower, and the meters become less and less dynamic. And so I've been testing Meld. I don't know if that name means anything to you. Amongst gamers, it's a very, very up-and-coming streaming app. And the only problem is they don't have a virtual cam for Mac OS. It's only for Windows at the moment.
Do you do app sharing or window sharing?
I do app.
When you
sharing.
capture the meter.
I capture the meter from Hijack on the
No.
app.
Yeah, understood. But once it's on the screen, in Mimo Live or in OBS, we found that if you do app capture, that means you capture the meter window. There's a huge latency in terms of the meter response. So we actually then use the window capture. So you obviously have to get your custom, yeah. And we found that has zero latency.
Okay, but the problem that I'm having is that the app OBS doesn't see WLM window as a window. It sees it as part of Hijack. So it captures Hijack and then pulls out WLM in Hijack.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Meld is the new baby or the new boy on the street and playing with it. And it is, compared with OBS, it's exactly what you need as a simple tool. And I'm looking at Meld because you can pre-configure it and send the config across to clients to use as just capture their screen, put a bottom third on virtual cam straight into Zoom, and you have a local virtual cam without.
Meld is free?
At the moment it is, but looking at all of the other apps that are used by gamers for this sort of thing, it's going to be around $10 a month, probably.
That's nothing. I mean, does it have...
It's targeted at gamers. Gamers aren't rich people, David.
No, but it has scenes and it's got overlays and it's got a nice mixer in the bottom there.
And
David,
so
go up to file, and you'll actually see that you could actually import OBS sessions as well.
What do you mean go up to file?
Sorry, on a PC, you would go up to file and you would actually have an import.
Oh, I'm not even in the app. I'm just looking at the
Sorry.
website.
Yeah, I saw the app on the screen.
Yeah, we had a
Unlimited
discussion with this.
destinations. Wow.
We had a discussion with this. Should you import your scenes or you should rebuild them? And someone had scenes that he's been working on for the last 2 years and developing, and it took him 17 minutes to set them up in Meld. It's so simple. It's so easy to do. And not because it's simplistic. It's just they've really caught the simplicity in the user interface.
Wow, that's very cool.
And you get these
I found
rounded
Studio
shapes.
Live last summer, and apparently it's now owned by Vimeo. They call it Vimeo Livestream now, but it's free and it's simple and
It's owned by it's Vimeo Livestream now.
No,
yeah, because
yeah.
when I logged on in January, it said it was shutting down in February and it was going to become Vimeo Livestream and not Livestream Studio anymore.
Yeah,
But
correct.
it's
And
free.
they're
and
rebranding. Yeah, correct.
works well.
They're rebranding when Livestream got bought by Vimeo. They also, when Livestream actually had all their different products, because Livestream used to have a hardware switcher as well with their software inside it. So it's very much competing against VizRT, which obviously David's going to talk about soon. Hi, everybody on YouTube. I'm in hosting in the YouTube channel, by the way. And hi, I'll sneak in here since I'm talking. And David's still showing Meld. So I'll go back to that too. Go ahead, Dave.
No, sorry. It's wow. It looks like a really impressive app.
It looks
It is. I
impressive,
was
and
actually
when
playing
I've
with it this afternoon.
And I've spoken
David
with
is
the
easily
developers. And what
distracted.
it's really easy to send it, ask them to download it, send them the file, they do the inputs, and you have a speaker on your session or your meeting who already has his bottom thirds, his lower thirds defined by you, his logo up there if he needs to have it. I'm not talking about switching. I'm just having a very simple interface between his camera and but enough for me because we're doing intros. Sorry, Dave. I got
Real
carried
quick,
away.
does this integrate with Zoom? Did they build a Zoom integration?
Not yet.
Not
This
as of
is
yet,
very
David.
new.
Yeah. Wow, really interesting. Cool.
It
But
does have
it'll
an
be-
API as well, so developers will be able to add new features
Yeah.
that way, just like they do in OBS.
But just keep in mind that this is being developed by gamers. So in that gaming community, if they put something out in beta, all the gamers will try it out because they've got nothing to lose. So you'll get millions of people trying it very, very quickly. And so it's going to develop very, very quickly.
That's really nice. That's really
If you're very familiar with OBS, this is a more simplified interface for
Mhm.
OBS.
wow. Very cool. Thank you for that.
And just one more quick thing, David, on this. With Meld,
Yeah, sure.
you're
You
not going to
said
have
one
to
quick
use...
thing last time, and then look at what happened.
Meld doesn't use plugins in the way OBS does, that you could have plugins for every single functionality, additional functionality you would want. So that's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, a lot of it's already baked in, David.
Cool. Okay. Let's finish saying hi. I'm not even saying hi to Mike. He already said hi. Lois, hi. Long time no see.
Yeah, wasn't it just last night? Something like that.
Feels like it was just yesterday.
You, me, Tony, Tamara. My goodness, we're going to replicate last night. No, we're
The
not.
Rundown 2.0.
Zoom Test Kitchen 2.0. Okay, so I'm doing well. And I have a question right off the bat. You guys were talking about meters and all this stuff. Doesn't Zoom have meters?
You know what?
Isn't there an app or something?
Yeah, no.
No.
They don't have good meters. I was thinking
That's surprising.
We were just talking, I was thinking to myself, that seems like such a,
Yeah.
I don't know, a basic app that someone could create, but maybe there's no money in it. I don't know.
Hey, Carlucci, you listen to this?
I mean, there are, if you go in to, every person can monitor their own audio. If you go into your settings, you can see your monitor. It's not a very good,
Yeah, it's very poor.
but yeah, in any case, that is a good question. And Tamra. Hi,
Hello,
Tamra.
hello.
Oh, hello. Nice having you here.
I'm so excited to not be in Zoom. I mean, no offense, but I like being in the room. Being on YouTube is like, you watch everybody commenting, you're like, but I just want to be with my friends.
Good to have you here. So, so two things. Let me just put these on the table, Fred, before we jump in. Two things to have on the table, and then or three things actually that we could talk about, and then I'll be quiet and anyone can take over. The first is Skype is going bye-bye. which is a pretty significant move. Now, of course, there's Teams, and that's where, they're trying to move everyone. But from what I understand, Broadcast does not use Teams. It has used Skype. And so Zoom now sees itself as the new option. Hence the announcement just a few moments ago about the integration with Viz RT and what do you call the big fancy boards? What are those? TriCaster and the TriCaster. So we can talk about this a little later, but just so that everyone can see, I don't know anything about TriCasters, by the way. I've never. I mean, they're just big fancy.
I can explain more, David, when you're ready.
Beautiful. So, but basically now Zoom, they have taken the SDK and they've built out integration. And so this is actually the app on the app marketplace, the Zoom app marketplace. So Skype is gone. We have this integration now. And the other thing, and this is what the title of today was about, was 1080p. It seems like everyone gets 1080p now if they just ask for it. Depending on, there are lots of different ways to get 1080p. So those are the things that I have on my table, but Fred has his hand up and I know that Omar has something in the YouTube, but Fred, you're first.
Before you get there, we have two more people to introduce. Steve Miller and Harshid are with us.
Oh, hi, Harshid. Hi, Steve. Sorry, I keep my non-camera folks off, so that's why I didn't see you. I apologize. Fred, over to you.
I was just going to ask you, you started the show. Where's your theme song?
Yeah.
I love that little jingle. I've got that running in my head from a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
I came into the end of the meeting and it was just like going, and it's so funny. And Mike is so kind to pick out a different version every time you guys go off the air. It's great.
I know. I need the theme song. Hold on a second. And
then I went in and tried to get rid of the live instead of live because it pronounces it wrong. So I changed the word a little bit and made alive instead of,
Welcome to the Zoom test kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak.
Wow. That's just fantastic.
Very danceable. Very danceable.
That is awesome.
It's very
Brought
special.
to you by the Zoom Test Kitchen and the lyrics by Grok. And who did the music?
This one was this was the first one.
Sumo?
Ronnie?
Yeah,
using Suno.
Suno, yeah. This is the original one. This is not the new one, yeah.
I did one also on Suno because I was trying to get rid of to make it say live instead of live.
Right, and you can't.
Yes, I can.
Really? Because I tried it also. I couldn't
the
do it.
word with something else.
Oh no, then you can't.
It will pronounce alive correctly.
Ah, okay. That's funny. Cool. Omar is in the chat. I don't know if you wanted to Mike mention what he's saying here.
Sure. He says, "Hi guys, I built a custom Zoom Rooms controller that has some pretty exciting features not currently available in the official Zoom controller. Would you guys be interested in seeing a demo?"
Yeah.
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 Come on in, Omar.
I'm the ignoramus of the group on Zoom Rooms. I've never understood Zoom Rooms, but so definitely come on in and yeah, we'd love to see that anytime. You can let us know in advance and we'll market it, or you can just pop on in. We'd love to have you here. So let's talk for a moment about Viz RT and TriCaster.
Is this a new Zoom thing? I missed it.
Yes. So it was just announced in our Discord. by Andy. He says, I'm excited to announce the official integration of VizRT into the Zoom developer ecosystem with the publication of the latest TriCaster updates. The new Zoom integration in TriCaster is a powerful deployment of our meeting SDK technology, bringing our industry-leading AV capabilities directly into the TriCaster's impressive remote contribution workflows. The ability to call in multiple 1080p remote Zoom guests with high reliability and flexibility is a huge step forward in modernizing professional broadcasts. Zoom integration is available in the latest updates of the TriCaster Mini S, the TriCaster One Pro, and a few others. And then there are links to the Zoom app marketplace and their website. For starters, can someone just define for me what VizRT is and in relationship to TriCaster?
Or relationship?
Sure. Yeah. And as John says, Mike, yeah, sure. The answer is, I'll give a quick history. So VizRT has always been a software graphics-based company. And I'm being very generalized when I say that, because they have more technology than that, but they have been known in the broadcast industry for their graphics. You'll see a lot of their graphics on a lot of the popular sports events, if not, productions done on television. They bought NewTek, thus the people that started NDI. Okay. And then when they ended up buying NewTek, the TriCaster family came over from NewTek over to VizRT. Now,
hold on. TriCaster was owned by NewTek, so they just joined.
Correct. So as they merged the two companies together, because VizRT bought NewTek, VizRT kept the TriCaster line of video switchers because they did not have that. They were always software graphics. They were never hardware video switchers.
So just to clarify, so the TriCaster is the physical hardware. Is there
Correct.
software that goes along with that, or?
Well, again, yes. So basically what the TriCaster has always been known for is it is running Windows under the hood, and they basically made a Windows video switcher software that runs on their hardware. Very similar to Wirecast, very similar to where you could actually have vMix on a PC, or even when on the Mac world, of course, this is now where Ecamm and Mimo, like the TriCaster is one of the originals when it comes to software video switchers that are on PC-based hardware. More specifically, back in the day, old Windows XP was one of their original versions of it. And as David pulls that up, I will keep talking. I'll spotlight you so you can keep going, David. And so basically, that's what David's showing right there is the actual hardware controller that actually runs the PC. So think of it as their own Stream Deck unit, if not even like a Blackmagic type video switcher controller, that you still need the video switcher to be the PC. So that is basically running to an actual PC. And then you have your multi-view, as you see, so in the first monitor is the multi-view. The second monitor actually has all the different video, inputs. So very similar to what David is probably seeing in Ecamm. We have a similar layout in vMix, OBS, et cetera, et cetera. It's just their customized link. So so David, go to the actual TriCaster. Yeah, don't show the TriCaster Mini. Show the TriCaster TC1 model. That's sort of been their flagship for a while now. So that is the actual PC itself that controller is connecting to, right? And that is your kit minus the monitors that comes with it, right? So you would actually get the physical PC rack mountable, and you would also get that controller, and that controller runs all their software within that PC.
And what's
TriCaster is basically a production switcher with replayabilities built in, and instead of being tied to, let's say, SDI, it can run various different flavors of video and audio through its mainframe. I think you get 3 or 4 different kinds of layouts. That I believe is the biggest production. It's like a technical director's position in a TV truck. It's the switcher, right. But also that can control audio. It can control. It does it. It's basically a 3, and that's why they call it a TriCaster. It does 3 things in one box.
Right. So video, audio, and replay.
Yeah. Real quick, VizRT. I think they're running extra hours over in the office hours community with VizRT. I think.
Correct. Right.
So not just graphics anymore. Is this something different or?
Right. So to segregate the two again, VizRT initially was known for graphics, right? They were a graphic making overlay type company, very similar to like the free. So
Chiron used to be the big buzzword in the broadcast industry. Now it's Viz. Every time I got to get audio out of something, it's a Viz these days.
Right. So, but again, they were never in the hardware world. If anything, they only had hardware graphic machines where you'd have just hardware graphic machines. They never had the video switching. That was always left up to the Ross Videos of the world, et cetera, and TriCasters. So that when NewTek and was bought by VizRT, they brought over this model. As you can see, it's still got the NewTek logo on it. So that's the original NewTek logo that David is actually showing everybody. That's still on it. So they actually haven't even fully rebranded that model over to the VizRT logo. So it's still in transition, that model.
If I had to guess then, the way this would work is because this is a computer, you join Zoom on this computer somehow, and then it's just able to grab those feeds.
Correct. And again, I don't know all the different products that ended up getting it today because you're breaking the news and I haven't had a chance to talk to Andy about this yet. But I'm going to assume, without knowing more, that it is going to be rolled out to all the different TriCaster family because there are minis all the way up to the big guys. And I know that initially, so it is going to
the Mini S, the 1 Pro, the 2 Elite, the Vision, and the Vector.
Okay. And those are the newer models. So that model that I had you show, David, is actually one of their older, bigger models.
Gotcha. Okay.
But so if you want to take a look at those specifically.
Yeah. So the Mini S, the 1 Pro, hold on a second. 1 Pro. So this is the 1 Pro.
So that one you can see that did come over from NewTek, and that is now been rebranded to the VizRT on it.
Venti looking. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. And then what else was there? There was also
the Mini S, the Mini line, I think.
The Mini line.
Yeah. I think you had it there. Go back to the previous page. And you had it.
Live. Wait a second. Oh man, no, go back.
Yeah. There you go.
Mini. The Mini X maybe? Or no, it was
the Mini S. Yeah, all the way. Yeah, it's the baby. And me saying it's a baby is not necessarily a baby, but it is the baby.
Actually, when this
I was like, that's a baby.
Right. When the announcement came out, I actually thought, oh, okay, now I have to get myself a TriCaster. And so I immediately looked at the Mini because, that's all I can. No. It's not a Mini.
Yeah, but it is their baby. Yes, it truly is their baby.
So what do you think? What do you all think this? I mean, what was the ingest system for these before? Was it Skype? Was it something else?
Yes.
It could be anything. That's the nice thing about it. It's a multi-flavored box. Gotcha. A friend of mine who has one here in town, he runs all of his cameras in at NDI. So everything comes in and goes out NDI. But now with this integration, I'm going to guess it's just another way to stream from a larger production switcher, basically.
Yeah, David, I'll give you my thoughts on it to this point. So basically, so the TriCaster models, obviously, as soon as NDI came out, they were the guinea pig. So because again, NewTek made NDI, right? So it automatically went to the TriCasters, and then they automatically started making NDI-based products, which became into their units with their encoder, decoders. Then they actually got PTZ cameras that have the NDI. So they were the originators of making those products, and way before all these other, hundreds of manufacturers now actually have NDI-based products inside them. So you got to remember that NewTek was the original company that made NDI. They got bought by VizRT, and now VizRT is yet to be determined if NDI itself has been sort of plucked out and became a.
Uh-oh. I hope he's not using NDI.
Uh-oh, Canada just got cut off.
Oh, you're back.
No, I'm here.
Sorry,
good old internet connection. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for telling me my internet connection is unstable, Zoom. That's fantastic after I came back. So yes. So basically so VizRT bought NewTek. NewTek was the originators of NDI. And so they were the ones that initially came out with the NDI products, hardware-wise, and also launched NDI tools. And then, of course, the ecosystem has grown since there. But when it comes to the integration of this, they're already doing NDI, but NewTek was known for Skype TX. And this goes back to what David was talking about when it comes to Skype disappearing. Now, the broadcast world, you'll see it depending on the news channel that you will see via Skype, you'll see, or via WebEx, because they are using those two technologies that are not using Zoom, but they are using, especially a lot of the big news outlets are using Skype. Why? Because, again, it's been around for such a long time. And on top of that, too, Microsoft actually made a specific product for the broadcast industry called Skype TX. Now, what is Skype TX? It's sort of a Skype on steroids. It basically has a pretty interface that looks similar to Zoom Rooms. The Zoom Room controller interface, which Omar is with us, David, by the way. So he did join. So this will be a good segue for you, Omar, momentarily here. And the Skype TX interface and the actual VizRT guys actually came up with a specific 1U unit that actually could bring out 4 Skype people at any time into production, right? Where it would come out an SDI, output card, right, into their SDI gear. And that's been around for years. And of course, you also brought up Leo Laporte, of course, that he said, and I saw his show this week, where the Microsoft show that was on this week, where they were saying, I wouldn't have existed if Skype wasn't around. So,
yeah.
Wasn't Skype the first one to be able to do 720 as well? It was like, Skype that was the other reason that broadcasters like it, is because it wasn't, 720 was like the lowest.
Yes. And also the big thing about it, and the Microsoft crew, when I was watching Leo Laporte this week, actually reminded me the codec that is now currently in Teams, because yes, it is the Skype technology behind Teams. So it's going to be very easy to migrate between the two. And the codec that was built for Skype that got bought by Microsoft when Skype was initially made is actually a VBR type video codec, meaning that if there's more bandwidth available from the actual location, Skype will use it to actually send out the video. That's why it was so clean and crisp, where Zoom has its limitations where they are maxing out at X bitrate.
Sure. David on YouTube has said that NewTek sold a hardware appliance for Skype also. Which
correct. That's the model I was talking about. That was the 1U model that I was talking about.
All right. So this is exciting. Good for VizRT, good for Zoom. Omar, I'm going to come to you, but can I just ask a noob question that has nothing to do with any of this? Is that okay? I'm still looking at the meld stuff. What does it mean when the Q button on a mixer? What does Q mean?
Q means that it sends it to your headphones, David.
So
It's like a solo.
Yeah, it's
for
a
your
solo, but
headphones or
Yeah.
for the mix?
again, depending, again, whatever you've routed to the queue will route. So if you actually have out of your output on your audio card that you've said that the queue is set up to that channel, you could actually then queue and listen just in your ear that audio channel. It allows you to queue it up before you use it.
Oh, okay.
It's basically it's like a solo in your monitor channel. If you have a monitor channel. If you're listening to program, you're not going to hear it. But
Right.
in your monitor channel where you have a volume control, whatever,
Gotcha.
it's like a solo.
That makes sense. Thank you. Sorry about that. Welcome, Omar. How you doing?
Hello. Good. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah. So
Pretty impromptu, so I didn't set anything up ahead
You
of time.
built something special to share with us?
Yeah. I built something over the last, I don't know, 3 weeks to a month, and it's not out yet, but you guys seem like the right type of people that might want to hear about it.
Let's bang on it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So Zoom Rooms, they recently released their custom AV controller, and that allows you to get some more advanced routing in and out of Zoom Rooms. They added hardware in and out of Zoom Rooms, and they allow you to easily access like NDI outputs for your participants, active speaker, spotlights, screen share, etc., and do a couple of other things.
Omar, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Could you,
Sure.
for those of us who are not quite as advanced as most people in this room, can you just
Sure.
explain what the difference between a Zoom room and Zoom is, and when you might want to be in a Zoom room?
Yeah, well, I can try. There's a couple different like scenarios where it might be used. Traditionally, it's like if you go into an office building and there's a conference room there with a screen, there's a little hardware device there that is always running Zoom. And that's where a Zoom room is like really meant to live. It's on a hardware device. You can walk into that meeting, and on the table they'll have an iPad. They'll press start meeting and you're in a meeting, or they'll type in a meeting code and password, and then they'll join a meeting. And then the hardware device might have a camera attached to PTZ. It might do auto scaling in, and oops, I got a little out of focus, but it might zoom into the different participants. I think that's primarily what it was built for initially, but it has some, and again, you'll have to ask Zoom. I'm not really the right one to ask all the use cases that are it's used for, but you could do some advanced in and outs with it.
What are you building for? What's the use case that you're building for?
The pro AV community.
Okay, so talk about that, because that's what interests us a little bit.
For sure. So in the pro AV community, just similar to Zoom ISO, where you can get isolated feeds in and out of it, Zoom Rooms, you can do that as well. Previously, it was only NDI. You could get NDI outputs, up to 12 of them out of it. But they recently added, I think a month ago, they released the beta of their Pro AV controller, and you can now get hardware in and outs with a connected deck link if you have it running on a computer. And you can also do some Dante routing within Zoom Rooms. So it's a pretty powerful little kit. You could do similar things in other places. You could do it in vMix and get some kind of advanced routing there with 4 channels and MIMO and VizRT you guys were just talking about. So the SDK is available for lots of companies to build on and kind of grab the Zoom meeting information. So I've done that same thing. I've taken their SDK and I've built a specialized controller, and it's very similar to their custom AV controller, which I can show you here.
Before you jump into that, Robert, did you want to come with a question real quick?
Yeah,
and somebody might have some clarification as well.
Yeah, I think it may be worth just stating for us in this community that Zoom Rooms, difference between Zoom Rooms and Zoom ISO, for example. Zoom ISO, you can only pull out of a Zoom meeting. With Zoom Rooms, you can push stuff back into a Zoom meeting.
Right. Can you really describe a use case? I haven't used Zoom Rooms that much in my own production, so it's pretty interesting that I built something for it. But what do you mean by pushing stuff back in?
Okay, so if for example, in my situation, I'm doing a hybrid event and I'm on site, I can take stuff out of Zoom Rooms, get all of the interpretation, anything I want out into the local room, and I can push camera feeds back into Zoom. You can't do that with Zoom ISO. You'd need a Zoom Works client app to put things into Zoom, and Zoom ISO to pull things out of Zoom.
Right. You have a camera. It's actually 2 cameras really available within Zoom Rooms, as far as I could tell by using it a little bit.
I have a camera I'm in OSC, but it's the same thing. I have I could turn on the camera here in Zoom. There, I just did it. What am I not understanding, Robert?
If you're in Zoom Zoom ISO, Zoom ISO only is allowing you to pull things out of a Zoom meeting, so that you go and take all of those feeds and you do some production work and feed them out somewhere else, so stream them or push them into a different meeting or do whatever you're doing with them. So Zoom ISO is intended to pull things out of a Zoom meeting. While with the Zoom Rooms, you've also got the ability of not only pulling them out and doing stuff with them, but pushing stuff back into that meeting, either a video feed or audio feeds or whatever it is that you're doing on a production
natively.
site.
Maybe you mean natively because okay, because what I can pull stuff out of Zoom ISO, produce it in a memo or an eCam or something like that, and then push it right back into the same Zoom ISO meeting. I could do that. It's not the right way to do things, but
into the Zoom ISO meeting, and I'll help Robert here. But yet you're using Mimo Live out
to produce it.
Right, but how are you getting the feedback out of
virtual camera? Virtual camera, Zoom ISO
into
Zoom ISO. Zoom ISO has a camera. It's a regular Zoom meeting. Here,
but isn't there a delay when you push it back into the meeting?
No. Like I said, this is not the smart way to do it.
So that's my question: is if you push it out and push it back in through Zoom Rooms, does it have that same delay?
No, probably not.
For those in the know.
I mean, it would if you're producing it outside of Zoom Room and you're bringing in other sources and sending it back in. I mean, I think there would be some delay there, likely.
All right, so I'm going to, give me a second here. I'm coming in to this meeting with Zoom. Oh no, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? That's interesting.
Omar, welcome to the kitchen where we break.
Hey, no worries. I mean, I'm working on this application and it's breaking all the time. So
it's okay. That's okay. Break it in front of everybody and we'll let you know where it broke too.
Sure.
And David's in here 3 times already.
4 times.
4 times. I forgot the meter.
I'm actually wondering if maybe that's why, because I'm in here with Zoom OSC and I'm trying to join from the same computer on Zoom ISO. I wonder if that's why it's not starting. I don't really know.
I would need Andy to confirm on that. Andy, let us know in chat if you're watching.
Well, why don't you go ahead and I'll do this. You go.
Sure. Well, you know, I haven't used Zoom Rooms too much in my own productions. I've only been cooking in the kitchen, as they say. So, again, you know, what I'm working on, I'm hoping that I can get out to people to actually use in a real world scenario or even test scenarios and then really find out the limits. But if you look here, this is the official controller that Zoom released. This is their custom AV controller. And this is kind of how it works. You've got your NDI outputs right here. You can do custom settings right here where you can set your room's resolution and frame rate. And this is tied to your room. So if you set this to 720, 5994, that's what comes out of the room. I don't know if they do conversion of the feeds or not. I haven't tested that, but you can set your hardware output gallery size. So I think a lot of examples would be if you're trying to like build a custom gallery with only 4 people, you could do that. And that's on that hardware in and outs. And then right here, they got the hardware in and outs. I have a 4 Decklink Duo connected right now. And you can set, different things. You can make it an input or an output. You can set participant, gallery, active speaker, spotlight, all these type of things. Likewise, you can do that over here on the NDI. So that's their controller, and it's working pretty good. It's in beta, but I think they're releasing it soon. Taking it out of beta, but anybody can download that. And this is what I built. It's very similar in that it allows you to pair with a room. It uses an activation code while they use OAuth over here to log in your account settings. So when I connect to the room, it takes about 10 seconds or so. I have similar control. well, at least of the things that I've set up so far. I could change the frame rate over here to 720. And if you look over here, it should reflect there 720. If I set it to 1080, my controller does the same thing. So it's all talking to the same room. And this is my room. It's on a computer just over there right now, but I've also tested it and it works in the cloud. That's where a lot of people are using Zoom rooms, is in AWS or in cloud environments. And then you could join a meeting. This is where it gets kind of exciting. So I've got a meeting code. This is the Mimo Live meeting that Guy Cochran hosts in Seattle, I believe. But I can join it here. I could join it up there as well in my meeting. But you see, I hit the join meeting down in the official controller, and it starts populated in my controller. And some of the things that you can get, let me just show you real quick. You can get participant information. So here's all the participant information. Here's all the data. I'm just pulling it out of the Zoom room. Here's all the ones that they set up. I guess some other people other than myself. Here's me. This is me right here. Some other people are in this meeting doing some tests, and they're showing up here. And now I have access to setting NDI outputs and routing all that stuff. So participants, see the participant showed up there, shows up there. And there's parity here. Active speaker shows up there. And that's great. It's already in the official controller. Why wouldn't you just use that? Well, I've built mine on a different layer. I've built mine in JavaScript. So I've also built a companion module for it. So now I can do advanced routing of all of these different NDI outputs. I've only have NDI working, not hardware at the moment, but all the participants are showing up right here on the screen. This is everybody in the meeting. I could set NDI, what was I at? I go back page, NDI output 1. And I gotta change my camera, excuse me. Let me put it right here, companion, sorry. Here's my companion instance running it. So I have like NDI, all my NDI outputs right here. I can do NDI output 1, and I can change it to, well, let me get a picture-in-picture going so you guys can kind of see. There you go. Can you guys see that?
Perfectly.
Yep. So if I set active speaker to output 1, I'm on NDI output 1, you'll see it reflect there, active speaker. NDI output 2, I'll set it to a different participant. Let's set it to Susan. Susan shows up right there. And that'll be reflected as well in the official controller and on the NDI outputs. And you can kind of see it right here. Here's my vMix instance. I've got, these is NDI output 1 and NDI output 2. Let me see if I can show you that. So if I set NDI output 1 to Elena, you'll see it change there. NDI output 2, I'll set it to gallery. There's the gallery. So it's pretty powerful, as you can see. I'm covering the boxes with my picture-in-picture. Let me move that over. One sec.
While you're moving that over, it sounds like there are two major differences between what you've built and what's available from Zoom. One is that yours is built on on JavaScript, and the second is the companion plugin, which is huge as far as I'm concerned. Are there other differences, or is this just?
Well, that's the primary. It translates like the current SDKs in C++, and then I've taken that and translated it to JavaScript, which is why Companion is able to work. It speaks in JavaScript. So
so could you have built a companion module for the Zoom controller, the Zoom one, or did you have to build?
Zoom would have to do that. They would have to have some OSC control, probably is how they would do it, directly from there. And I'm sure that's on their roadmap, I would imagine, but not right now. Yeah, you could do other, because it's in Companion, and everybody here, I'm sure, is really familiar with Companion. You could do interesting things like, so here's the first 3. And if you look, let me switch this over. I do it here. There we go. Let me turn that on. So here's the first 3 outputs of the NDI from that Zoom room. And like I have these hotkeys set up right here where it's group 1 and group 2, and I've preset who's there. So if I go back here and I set group 1, there's 3 different participants that show up. Let me go to group 2. There's the other 3 participants. So being able to like switch back and forth, maybe you're limited by bandwidth, or maybe you're limited by the hardware outputs that you have. With enough, I wouldn't necessarily do this live on air because you see there's some flashing between the 2, but a couple seconds before. You could switch over to the second group, or maybe you want to change your gallery ahead of time, and you can kind of do some advanced things. You could set triggers, time delays, all kinds of stuff because of companion integration.
What you just changed there is instead of grabbing 6 NDI feeds, you grabbed 3 NDI feeds, and then you were able to switch the 3 that you were grabbing. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, it was just a companion trigger that set the NDI output to whatever participant I set. That's, any of the available participants that are, NDI output 3, it's right here. But if you look at, these are all the participants that are currently in the meeting. It'll update when somebody joins or leaves. And I mean, theoretically, I could probably join with my Zoom room to this meeting we're in right now, and you guys would all show up right here. I guess I could try that live if you wanted to, but I've never tried that before. I've only been using test meetings.
Go for it.
That's when stuff breaks, right? You guys want to try?
No, go for it. While you're doing that, David Brady is asking on YouTube, is this controller available for testing? He'd be very interested in learning more and providing feedback.
It's very soon. Right now, it's built, it's on my computer. And I'm building a web app for it. So hopefully I have something available to the community. I'll put it out there for I'll have to come up with some business model to host it and all that stuff, but I'll probably put it out there for free for a while, just to get people using it and trying it. And everybody here is the type of people, and everybody watching are the type of people that'll really put it to its limits and show me what I can and cannot do. And I mean, the really interesting thing is having it as a JavaScript front end, being able to change what shows up on the controller, like custom dashboards, or I want to see all the participants, I want to see them like this, or I want to see, theoretically, you could probably figure out some type of auto metering you guys were talking about earlier and put it on a dashboard as part of the controller. And because you get that information out of the room, you have it in real time, you could update the dashboard, and it's really easy to update. I mean, nothing's easy, but relatively speaking, you're not recompiling code when you wanted to move stuff around in a React website or something like that. So,
Omar, two things.
Yeah.
Yeah, two things. David, I think that I want to suggest, and I know our people in Discord will love you for it, if you want to set up Omar a Discord channel where Omar could actually put this in there on Discord, and then we can follow up with him in there.
Do we just call it the Omar channel?
Well, I'm working on a name right now. I think I'm calling it ZR Pro Controller, but I haven't settled yet.
All right, when you've got a name, send it to me. But
I can show you real quick. I'm pretty close to.
Wait, before David Brady said that the Zoom custom controller is Windows only.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me show you this. This is a perfect segue. So this is the same controller, but this is this is a web app. So it's running locally right now, but theoretically I could have you sign up for an account. Like I have an account right now. I could pair the room, and this is just available on a website. So it could be on an iPad, it could be on a Mac, it could be anywhere, and you can get the controller and you can get access. So this isn't fully functioning yet as much as I have in the other version, which is a local, but here it is. There's all the participants. There's the meeting I'm in, and this is sort of working, and this is probably what I'll launch. This other one is built locally. This one right here. And I don't think I'm going to release this one, even though some people might want it. This seems more accessible to people, and it'll also allow me to, keep track of who's using it and all that type of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what I'm working on.
So it makes sense, but David Brady, who's watching on YouTube, it didn't hit me until you just put that in the chat that it makes perfect sense that the that the Zoom controller is Windows only, because remember they stopped Liminal's apps are only Mac. And he has said consistently that there is a way to do what you do with Liminal apps on Zoom, on Windows. It's Zoom Rooms. And that's so. But yours will be cross-platform because it'll be web-based.
Correct. Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So you can get control anywhere. You can get. I assume you could probably create some type of kiosk for an iPad or something like that, and have your custom controller done that way. I have a lot to work on still. Having it be a web app, I have to figure out an API to be able to communicate with Companion from that, because right now it's all just happening locally on my machine for the Companion integration. But that's pretty important for the Pro AV community as far as I can tell. I mean, I use it in every show that I do. So,
yeah.
having that, I think, is the big feature set differentiator versus the official. Because I mean, right now, there's a couple things like on this on the official controller, you have like if you have a show and you're having maybe a freelance team show up and set your rooms and your set up all the Zoom rooms you're using for your show, you have to let them log in using OAuth to your account, and then they're going to see all the rooms that you have available. And maybe that's not the thing you really want to do, but with the way that they allow others to access Zoom room control and get the information is via an activation code. And Zoom rooms, it's on your Zoom rooms room management. This is my activation code, and it lasts for about 10 days. And you can regenerate it and get another one. But this is what I use to connect to the rooms. And this could be beneficial if you don't want people logging into your account and, seeing everything you do on your Zoom instance, or maybe for administrators. But this is what I use. So if you would like me to connect to no, actually, I can just join the meeting. Let me show you. Let me try joining this meeting here that we're in, and let's see if it shows up.
While you're doing that, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna come over to me for a second, because now I've got. Hold on. Let me pull ISO up. So I've got ISO up here. So I'm in this. Sorry for the. Let me actually change that to gallery so we don't get that. Okay. So here I am in ISO. And again, it's probably, Robert, that I didn't understand what you were saying, but I can turn on my video and send video back into this. And if I wanted to, I could capture video from here, pull it out, put it into Ecamm on the same machine even, and then just pipe it right back in using a virtual camera.
I can see that, David. Maybe from a production point of view, I've never even dreamt of putting that much load onto for the workflow load onto one piece of equipment, because you're doing Zoom ISO, you're doing your Mimo Live or whatever it is that you're using, and you're pushing it back out all in one machine. From a production point of view, I would never do that.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a mindset of mine.
No. That's I just want to clarify. So it's possible to do it. You just shouldn't do it, which that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. John, go ahead.
Yeah, what you're showing is effectively a web version of Zoom. Whereas what they've done with this new production system is they've taken Zoom Rooms and they've turned it into a dedicated production tool. So it's OSC and all the features that we use on steroids. And in that environment, they should be able to send multiple videos in both directions and do lots of other lovely, sexy things with it.
Yeah, and if I understood Omar correctly, this is going to be cloud-based. So when you're running your Zoom room in the cloud and you're running this app as a web app, you're not actually pulling all this stuff down through to where your studio is to do all of the production. And that's like mega something different, because even if you use the standard Zoom production studio in Zoom events, you're pulling everything down and then sending it back up. Everything over here is done in the cloud because it's a Zoom room.
Correct. So I've actually ran with, so mine is just a controller, right? So the Zoom room exists wherever you have the Zoom room, whether that's on the cloud or locally on your machine. And what you do with those feeds is up to you. So in a cloud environment, I would probably have a AWS instance running a Zoom rooms. That's my contribution engine. And then I have another AWS instance running vMix or Ecamm, or not Ecamm, but some other production suite, VizRT. And then you have the NDI talking between those all up in the cloud, right? You're not bringing anything locally. And all this allows you to do is set those settings on the Zoom room and what shows up between vMix, let's use vMix as the thing, what shows up between vMix and the Zoom rooms, and when it shows up, and you can set up, you're probably not going to be changing that a lot during the show. You're probably going to be setting it before the show, and now you have all your people showing up. People are going to join the meeting. You're going to set somebody, but yeah, you're going to be managing it through the controller. And right now, you could do that with the controller that they offer, and you can have that locally on your machine and control that cloud-based Zoom room with theirs on a Windows machine. But this would allow you to, one, control it via companion, have some feedback buttons, tactile, all that type of stuff. It would allow you to give an activation code to a freelancer and have them log in and do the control during the show rather than giving your whole account. It would allow you to see custom views, I guess, depending on how I set up the web app. Whether or not you want to see all the participants in the room. Like right now on the official controller, you can't see what participants are in the room. You can only set the settings. Right now, I could have a sidebar that shows all the participants that are in there and who's the host and all that type of stuff, which I do currently have that. So yeah, it's just more features, right? I have access, theoretical access, to everything that they give in the SDK, which is who's currently speaking, all their nameplates, is their camera on, is there camera off, anything that you could think about in a Zoom meeting, you have access to. So I think the goal here is to build a custom dashboard or something like that people could build themselves. I think that would be really helpful in a lot of bigger environments. But start small, just give people control with companion is going to make a lot of people happy, and made me happy. That's why I built it. I mean, I built it because I didn't like not having physical control of my cloud-based instance. I liked seeing that there and pressing buttons and having macros, because I do a lot of stuff by myself or it's just one other person. And then I tried to build it, and here we are.
Yeah. Omar, actually, I'm just wondering, from a development end of it, is it possible to either bring up the actual live video feed into the interface or thumbnail it? Meaning taking a snapshot every so often, just to let that person know that, yes, that's the actual one that I wanted to grab, person-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. If you're pushing the video, like the isolated active speaker or something like that somewhere else, that's maybe easier to do because you can set up SRT or you can do web. Yeah, you could probably figure something out. I don't know if natively Zoom, because all I'm getting is like information about the room to be able to control it, right? I'm just setting bits and bobs back and forth. It's not the actual client itself that's running it, right?
Yeah, and you're not actually bringing the actual video data.
No, it's just data about the room, right? Like who's in it. When somebody joins, it sends me a little message that somebody joined and gives me a list of all the people in there. And then, you take that information and you organize it and all that type of stuff. That's how their SDK works. I mean, anybody here, I guess, theoretically, you go build it, if you wanted to. But that's how VizRT, and that's how vMix, that's how, Zoom wants people to build stuff. So more people use Zoom. So it's available out there. I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything. I just took a little initiative and did it. So, and it's not some easy thing to do, obviously. Yeah. Hopefully,
go ahead, Robert.
Sorry, go ahead, please. I can ramble, so please. Any questions?
Omar, I just like to say thank you for taking the initiative to jump on here and actually showing that to us and showing us a live demo. That takes a lot of I'm not going to use the word, but it takes a lot of guts to do that, and it's one of the best live demos I've seen running. That was impromptu because it just ran. It did everything which you wanted it to do. So great job. Thank you very much. And I actually love the concept of you building it for yourself to do the things that you need specifically. So that means it's built by someone who understands what it needs to do. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let me try one more thing. I'm going to try to join this meeting and see if I get all of our feeds into my Zoom room. Let's see if it works. This is where the meeting it'll probably break here. I'm joining it. I think somebody's got to let me in, but we'll see if I can show my screen.
It says joining still.
I haven't actually tested a room that has a waiting room feature, so that might be something that breaks it right now.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? So like perfect
Yeah.
example. I've only ever tested with meetings that are let you right in. So, because it shows I'm in the meeting, but my controller is not working. Let me try one more thing.
Still says on mine. It still says joining.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Omar, don't you need any rights or privileges?
No, but it's
Co-host or
not even in
whatever?
the meeting yet, so I'm not sure.
Possibly, yeah. There's probably a bunch of things there. Might be some pre-meeting stuff. Again, I've only done a couple test meetings, so these are the type of scenarios why it's not released, obviously, for a number of reasons, and
No,
and
that's why we're here. This is fantastic.
That's why I'm starting to talk to people too.
I'm so glad that, yeah.
Because I need people that will want to kind of break it with me and help me understand the roadblocks they're hitting. And I don't know that it's letting me join. Although I'm just joining. I'm trying to join with the official controller, so you think it would let me do that? It has nothing to do with mine, and it says leave meeting.
You leave meeting and try again. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Let me check it over here. I'll have a look.
Okay.
David, do you have authentication on? I don't know if Omar has it on.
Yeah. You guys made me put that on a while back.
Omar, I don't know if you heard that. Authentication is on, so I don't know if that's something that's blocking you.
Well, I'm looking over here. It says joining. I think the computer that I have this Zoom Rooms instance on, it's not having a happy time. So I might need to restart that to try. But we could save that for another time. Live demos only go so far.
but actually, I want to just share with you what security we do have on in this meeting, because that I think could be really interesting. Wondering if that's let's see. Why can I not find? I'm in this meeting. I'm looking for the information about security, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So I've got the waiting room on. We've got a meeting passcode. This is a PMI meeting. Passcode is required. No, sorry, the passcode is not required by phone. Only authenticated meeting participants and webinar attendees can join meetings and webinars. That is on. Meeting and webinar authentication options. Sign into Zoom. That's there. And that's it. Everything else is off. So interesting.
I'm restarting my Zoom Rooms. That might have just been it. It might have just froze.
All right, cool. So
it's not a production ready computer I have it on. It's just one that I had laying around that I'm testing with. I was doing a lot of my testing in AWS, but
is it a PC or a Mac?
PC.
PC. Are you all PC or do you use a Mac?
No, I use a mix depending on what I'm doing. I use vMix for a lot of things, so obviously I have some production ready PCs for that, and then I use the Mac for other things and
David,
control stuff.
Who's the guy from Liminal that came in and demoed the Zoom Cuts app? Was it Andy? No.
It wasn't Andy?
No.
Adam
Tao.
Adam Tao.
Okay. Adam's Tao. Omar, Adam Tao is a genius, and he whenever he does a live demo, he says, "I hope the gods of live demos are with us today."
I got pretty far. Then
you get
the gods let me down.
You win today. While he's getting that in or working on it, is
here, let me try to join it again. I just reset. Okay. Let's see.
I'm ready to allow.
Can I get the meeting and passcode from within the meeting, or do I need to?
I can give it to you.
Yeah.
Should I not say this out loud? Is that bad? No.
Don't you have it? Yeah, I mean, you have it publicly on your website, right?
I'll put it in the chat. Hold on a second. Which one are you? Just Omar. Okay.
Yeah.
And our friend David on YouTube is actually mentioning that Mix Effect, which is Adam's software, actually has an update today.
All right. I am allowing it. Admit.
Okay.
See what happens. It says And he's in.
Oh, I'm in. Okay, there we go. It was just a computer issue. See, I'll try pairing this room over here.
This is exciting.
This is exciting. Let's see. Try to get
While
you
you're
guys
doing
here.
that, so in
Yeah.
this case, the Zoom Rooms device is just a computer.
It's just a computer. Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct. It's a computer. You want to use it like an appliance generally. It usually takes over the whole screen. They don't, the way it's default is you can't get to the desktop, you can't get to the start menu or the taskbar, and it's supposed to be like an appliance that's always on, that you walk into a room, it's going to work, and you press a button on an iPad and join a meeting, start a meeting, select your camera, stuff like that if you need to do that. So, okay, I'm pairing the room on my
Gotcha.
controller. Switch it over. Where am I? There you go. Mine's on the right and the official's on the left. Let's see who's here. Hey, here we are. This is everybody in the meeting currently.
Wow.
There you are, David. There it is. And I guess I can bring over, let's see. Sorry for the, so here's my, I show you right here. I need to reset the companion. That's one thing. It doesn't auto reset when I join a new room. So let me do that. And you should see all of your names pop up there. Although it's kind of blurry, so you might not. Select. Well, my companion instance is breaking. I'm running 2 instances of it right now, but
you know what?
you can see that it's working.
When you were in that other meeting, it showed co-host underneath. That's really nice. We don't have that in Zoom OSC. It doesn't show host or co-host under if there are a host or co-host underneath.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about what they expose, right? So if they expose it on Zoom OSC, then it'll be available, but it does exist in the meeting. Oh, there it is. There's everybody that just showed up. So there's all of us here.
So now, so again, what you would do is you would check. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so if I go to NDI1 and I want to send David, you probably show up there. There you are. Got it. So there you are in the interface there. I'll put myself as NDI2. Where am I?
Yeah, and David and I just actually got prompted that we're now live streaming on NDI.
Yeah.
Right. Mike, I'll put Mike there. There's Mike. You can see in the NDI2.
Well, there's definitely latency, but I mean, it's quick.
It's pretty quick. I mean, I'd maybe a couple hundred milliseconds, but that's just the communication to the server back. I imagine if I did the same test on their official controller, it might be a similar amount of latency, or maybe a little bit less because I have to translate it to JavaScript. But it's their controller uses the same SDK. They're communicating with the Zoom rooms theoretically in the same way I am. Like they built it using the same endpoints of the Zoom rooms. So. Yeah, I mean, okay, there we go. We're in our meeting. I can mix up my own show over here of you guys now.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I'm happy to answer any questions. Anybody interested? And if anybody's interested in trying it when it's ready, I don't have a wait list or anything. I really got to get that going. I build it and they will come, I guess.
There was a message that popped up on my screen that said it's being live streamed on NDI.
Yeah, everyone got that, I believe.
Yep, I got that as well.
If you, Omar, if you want to, you can, are you on Discord?
Yeah. Yep. I'll join your Discord, and if anybody wants to try it, and
you can
ping me, and I'll get them on a list of some sort,
Yeah, and as we were saying before, Omar, to just let David and I know what you actually want the channel to be named, and we'll set up a channel. And then you can amend it if you want.
Cool.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming and playing with us. That's amazing.
Yeah, totally. Thank you guys. This was fun.
And how vital this is given that tools like OSC and ISO don't exist on Windows anymore. I mean, this is the way to do it. And so building out frameworks and structures around the core technologies is just where it's at for Windows workflows. That's amazing. Nicely done.
Is there anybody here that currently uses Zoom rooms? That's my main thing about starting to talk about it is I don't do productions in Zoom rooms currently. I've used Zoom ISO. I've used just Teams NDI out. I've done a bunch of other things, but I don't do that many production. Most of my productions are local sports productions, and I do a little bit of corporate, and that's where I've used some Zoom before. But my experience isn't as broad as I'm sure, and as deep as I'm sure a lot of people here. So if there are people here that are currently using Zoom rooms and have some things they want to see, I guess understanding what people are doing and how they're using it and what they would like or things that they're frustrated with that maybe this could solve, those are the type of things that would be really helpful for me to hear if there's
I was trying to get
watching.
I was trying to get my cohorts at the Bureau of Land Management. So we have a couple of Zoom techs. One guy lives in San Diego and one guy lives somewhere else. And I was trying to get them to come and hang out in this thing and talk about it, but they must be busy today because they do Zoom rooms and they love that. What's that called? The green room feature, the back room, where they push people into space and then they can bring them in one at a time to be a speaker.
And where do you know how that's done currently? Is that done in just like the regular controller that comes with Zoom rooms? That's the
I
default?
assume it does. I don't know. Unfortunately, that's why I was hoping that they would come in and talk about it.
Yeah, that almost sounds like to me, Fred, without knowing more, that sounds like backstage functionality within webinar.
That might have been. It might be.
Is that also in Zoom rooms? Is that same functionality, Mike? It's
in
not.
Zoom rooms? Good question.
No,
Well,
because
again, Zoom Room can join a webinar. So yes.
Right. No, okay. So Zoom. Sorry, I'm still a little slow on Zoom rooms. Zoom rooms is not a different type of meeting experience like backstage or production studio is. It's
right.
Right.
It's basically it's a Zoom client on steroids. Really, because it's made for, instead of having 8 people in the same room firing up their Zoom client, it's made to be that there's one on a big TV within. Again, the original thought of Zoom rooms was for a meeting room, right? So that is the original thought, is to have a boardroom or meeting room where you're having multiple people in the same room instead of them individually firing up their webcams and Zoom clients that are all connecting out that connection in that room to the internet to get the feeds back, that it's only one machine doing it.
It's ironic the turn that Zoom rooms took, because given what you just said, right, that initially the idea was you have one device in a room and all the people are in that same room. But now what Omar has reminded us Zoom rooms capable of is it's capable of creating ISOs of people who are not all in the same room, who are all over the place. So it's an interesting turn that it took.
Yeah, they let Andy at is basically the official answer.
And I've had a conversation with Andy too, and I mean this is their product that they're pushing right now. This is what they showed when they were at what is that? Not IBC, the one they just had in Spain, whatever trade show that was in Barcelona.
Omar, you did it right. It was IBC.
IBC, yeah. So this is the product they were pushing. This is probably what they're going to be pushing at NAB as well. Is this custom AV controller allowing broadcasters, integrators, whoever, to show them what they can do now with the Zoom Rooms instance that you couldn't do previously, to be able to manage rooms, bunch of rooms, stuff like that. So, so I'm sure the growth of the Zoom Rooms, and as they showcase what it can do, will probably grow. But
so I wonder if the next step is the tracking camera. So you got 10 people in a conference room, and you got a tracking camera, and as it tracks each person's face, it'll put up their name for them.
Well, they can always already have one camera, and it will break everybody up into separate Zoom instances. So it will see 6 people. It will just split them all up into separate Zoom instances. So people at the other end don't know that they're all sitting in the same conference room.
Oh, so that's what the owl camera and stuff like that already does.
Yeah, that's where the AI's got so far. But yeah, the next logical step would be to recognize them, wouldn't it?
But the one that Zoom has, is this production? No, this is in Zoom rooms. It does apply name labels, name tags to all the people sitting in the same room. So when it cuts that big, that wide shot up into all those individuals, it applies the names to them, which is just wild.
Where did it get the names from? Do you have to import that as a list first?
Do you import as a list, or do they just see? Let's see.
Yeah, you import them or you type them in. Yeah.
Is that's Zoom rooms, right? Zoom rooms, name tags. Use smart name tags for video in Zoom rooms. Here we go. Let's pull this up.
As you're doing that, David, I just want to remind everybody too that Zoom Rooms is its own license too. So do keep that in mind.
Yeah, $50, I think, at the moment.
Zoom smart name tags allow you to apply name tags to people in a Zoom Rooms meeting. Okay, it works on Windows. Yep. Limitations. Okay. One does how it works. You sign to the Zoom web port, click Room Management, click Zoom Rooms, choose the Zoom Rooms location hierarchy, click on Smart Name Tags. Okay. Manual. If smart name tags are not enabled by default, tap Participants, then tap More, then Enable Smart Data. Tap Participants. Okay, you can edit a participant's name tag. Tap a user from the list provided, then click Save. I don't quite understand how this works. Here's users can enroll. Interesting. Allow users to enroll in automatic smart name tags. Allow users to use their own photo. Allow Zoom to send an enrollment email to users in your account, or allow external Zoom room to identify users. Wow.
It was something this morning I logged into, and it made me move my face all around the camera, just like you do when you're setting up Face ID on your phone or whatever. And I was like, I wonder what that's going to be for.
I can tell you what that's going to be for, Fred. It's because when you're using something like there's certain cameras that have come out with apps that they are located in one position in the whole conference room, and yet when it shows your image in real time, it rebuilds your face on view, even though it's looking at you from the side. It's very scary, to tell you the truth.
It is. It's too much Big Brother.
That reminds me of the is it an app or something that you don't need to look at the camera, that it will move your eyes. That's just.
Well, I know that this year when I went with preseason NFL, before I got to the press credential deal, on the monitor above the screen, we were all walking up as a group. My picture popped up with my name, and I was still 30 feet from the table. It knew who I was before I ever got there.
Hey, quick, Omar, you sent that as a direct message to me. You should pop it back in the chat for.
Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Cool. Smart name tags.
And Omar, if that's a public link, I can put it in YouTube as well.
Nothing's public.
No, it's
just for the message in the chat. No, it was just responding to Andre, but then my app, nothing's public yet other than what you've seen here. So
Understood. Just letting you know that I'm putting things on YouTube as well. Hi, YouTube.
Oh, right on.
What else? Oh, 1080p. So now the whole world can get 1080p. Right? There are two ways now to do it, both of which were not supposed to be this way, but they are. So the first is if you go to business plan. Oh, I have to go into let me go into what do you call it? An incognito window. Zoom to us, so I'm not logged in. Plans and pricing. You can now buy a Zoom Workplace Business plan for just one person for $18. This is probably not available everywhere yet, but it's available in lots of places now. The thing with this is that for the $220 a year, you do need to request still 1080p. You still need to write in to Zoom support and request it. So that's one way to get it. The other way to get it, no, I can't get out of this. The other way to get it, here we go, is, let's see, if we go to plans and pricing, webinars and events, go to Zoom sessions, change it from monthly subscription to even pay per attendee. For just $100 a year, you now get on your pro plan 1080p. So this was before, when they launched this, it was only for the monthly subscription. It has now been confirmed that, at least for the time being, it's available on the pay per attendee plan. So for $100 additional, so if you're paying, let's see, how much is 13 times 12, 130, how much is a pro plan a year? Let me go back here. Pro plan a year is what? By now,
159 or something.
yeah, 160. So you, for $260 essentially, you can get your pro plan 1080p. You don't need to request it. It just happens automatically. And all the liminal apps.
And 300 per meeting.
And no.
If you go
No,
business, you have. I thought you said you were going to go business.
No. We're talking about two different ways to accomplish this.
Okay.
One is if you do the single business account. Do the single business account, then you have to request 1080. You get 300 seats. You get Q&A in your meetings. There's a bunch of other garbage that you get, but that's the business. If you do the sessions version route, you don't have to request 1080. You just get it. You're still on our pro plan though, so you don't have 300 participants. You get all the liminal apps in addition to that. So it's essentially, so 220 versus 260 for $40. You have to decide, do I want the liminal apps? Do I want 300 participants? Or on Q&A, that kind of stuff. Those are the differences between the two. But I mean, wow.
So I did the session
Sorry.
plan, but I cannot figure out how to get the liminal apps. It's not worked for me.
So there are a couple things you have to do. You
Okay.
have to, let's go back here and let's do a new tab, and we'll log into events. You have to start by going to events.zoom.us. So you have to log into your events account. And I'm in the wrong account, so let me I don't really want to sign out, but okay. Now I want to sign in. So you want to sign into the whatever account owns your account. All right, hold on a second. I gotta do this.
And I will talk while David is doing that.
Yeah.
For security purposes.
I don't think it actually matters, to be honest. It doesn't really, like, if you were to get this number, what would you do with this? No one can do anything with it, can they? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right.
Within the amount of time, yes. Continue.
Oh, okay. All right. So then you have to create, or it may be created for you, a hub, right? So I have a hub here, and you can see that is now. How do I go to it? My active hubs on my Zoom sessions, paper attendee. Yeah. Here it is. Sorry. So this is the hub that I created, and the email that I associate with this hub is the email that, here it goes, is the email that I purchased the sessions account with. So you purchase the sessions account, and then you have to make sure that now if you only have a pro account,
Yeah.
then but you still have to go in and create the hub if it isn't
Okay.
done for you.
So it's not the hub that's created for me. I've got
It
to
may
create.
be. No, it may be. Just make sure that your email is associated with that hub.
It's the same.
No, I understand it's the same, but look, I went in, I added a picture, I changed the name, and then it worked. So
Okay.
maybe you just have to play
I
with
hear
it a
you.
little bit.
I'll play.
And then you download the apps from Liminal, and then you log in with the same email address,
Okay.
the same credentials, I should say.
I tried.
And David, remind her that you had to log out before you did that and log back in. Remember, there was an issue that you had?
On the Liminal apps, right? You have to log out of those, or it really wasn't about logging out as much as it was because I had paid for Liminal before, so you have to disconnect that.
Right.
Yeah.
I did that. Okay.
Yep.
I'll play again. I have given up, but
Sure.
I am back to not giving up this year.
Yep. Tony, what's up?
So I'm looking at my account, signed in, and I'm looking at I don't have the option of getting one business license. It's still showing me I have to have 10 user license.
Can you
as a
share your
minimum.
screen?
No,
This is rolling out.
it's on a different computer.
Okay.
David, it very well could be that they're basing it on state.
It could be. I wonder also though, just for to test this, Tony, open up that same page in an incognito browser. And I wonder if you have the option to purchase just one if you're incognito.
Okay.
Because, for example, when I opened it up when I was logged in, it did not give me. I couldn't, reduce the number of, from because I'm on a business account now. So, John, go ahead while he's doing that.
Yeah. It's probably not obvious to everybody, but you can only have either pro or business. So if you've got 2 or 3 accounts, you'll have to upgrade all of them to business. You can't have a mix.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? That's crazy.
You can either have pro accounts, or you can have business accounts, or you have business plus accounts, or you can have corporates. You can't mix them all in the same. I like using the word account because it's if you have you cannot mix a set of pro licenses and business licenses in the same system.
In the same org. I could very easily purchase a business license with one email, purchase a pro license with another email,
exactly,
and never the two shall meet. But
you can't have them in the same org,
right.
So you can't share features between them, buying a webinar upgrade and then using it across different accounts.
Right. That's
they do have to be separate.
Point. It's a really good point.
So I have an enterprise account and I have a business account, and they have to be completely separate in their logins.
Mm.
And John, just to clarify for everybody, they're separate orgs, correct?
Well, we need to define something, and I don't know what we define. So one business account has an account holder, who pays the bills, and then I have another account with a different account holder who pays the bills. And as long as the email addresses are not the same, they can be the same domain names. So you can use an email address with the same domain name across different accounts, but you can only use an email address once in Zoom and allocate it to one org, one account, one usage. But we have fun in the event space when we run events, because we can start off with a meeting, we can upgrade it to a webinar, we can upgrade it to a session, and if we get really, really excited, we can then upgrade it to an event. And as long as it's in the same org, as you call it,
right,
it keeps the same ID and people can scan it across.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. So if you do have a meeting and it does get out of hand, you can upgrade it. If you've got webinars available in your accounts, you can upgrade it to an account. And the other thing, of course, the other part of this is you could also, if you have multiple pro or business accounts in the same org, there is at the very, very bottom of the settings, there's an ability to link those accounts together. So you can actually declare a meeting in one and then pass it to the other person. And they become the owner of that meeting. And again, that's very useful if you're organizing things, or if I'm doing a meeting on a regular basis and then I'm going to be away for a week, I can pass my meeting on to Mike. Mike can then take over the meeting and it will be just like they own it.
And John, just to clarify for everybody too, that's not using alt host, right?
That is not using alt host.
Correct.
That
By
is
the way,
not.
I'd love to talk about alt host, but Harshid has his hand up. Go ahead, Harshid.
Yeah, so I was curious, what is the parameters for education accounts? Do you need anything specific if you were to choose, let's say, EDU versus business? Because I saw both of them offered 1080p through the support about something. I was reading about something else, but it showed that those two are two accounts that could offer the 1080p.
If only Frank was here. I don't know. John, you got any input on the EDU side?
My usual answer to this is if you're an educational establishment, you can have an educational license. If you're a government, you can have a government license. The rest of us stick to the business and corporate license.
Copy, thank you.
That's probably the polite way of saying it.
Wait, but why?
Because they are different servers and they have some different features.
And
additional
suggesting that they're not
And
restrictions
different
in
security and
security, yeah.
authentication reasons, because obviously you don't want the government version and you don't want the educational version as open as we have our normal version. And the corporate
Not to say that our version is open.
but you can make things very easy for people to get in and out of meetings and webinars if you want to. You can just create a webinar and give no registration. You can let people just turn up. You can't. It's a little bit more.
But Harshid, were you asking about the capabilities of the different plans?
Well, the 1080p, because I'm in search of 1080p myself, and looking at the business account, we've heard that this is an offering, and then I also read up that EDU was part of that offering.
Oh, I see.
And then sessions would be the third piece, as you mentioned. So just trying to find my way to 1080p.
Yeah, so I'm on the education page now, the education pricing page. It doesn't talk about that. I mean, do you have an EDU? Do you have an EDU email? Because that would be the first thing. I don't think you can even take advantage.
Right. So I wasn't sure of the parameter. So that's one parameter that I don't have currently.
Well, so it says hold on a second. Zoom may not be purchased by hospitals or other affiliated organizations not specifically involved in student and faculty and pedagogy. I mean, it may actually not require an EDU email, but it does say, yeah, here are all the governmental and independently accredited and degree granting public or private nonprofit, yada, yada, yada. No, homeschooling programs can get it too. So you could probably figure out, you could probably find your way around it if you needed to.
John, I think it's fair to say that there has to be some proof though, right? Given to Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the problems we have outside the US. There's a lot of things that you give like charity status, and there's a organization in the States which you can use to document you're a charity or you're a not-for-profit. It's a lot more difficult for other countries because we don't have such a system.
It doesn't say anything on their on the sheet here about 1080p, Harshid. So it's a great question, though.
Thank you.
I don't know.
We'll keep on looking, and I thank you for that 1080p with the one account. So thank you.
But another thing to bear in mind is that for school and camp, for the education plans, the minimum number of licenses you can buy is 20, I believe. Right. So, in fact, let me go back. Let me just copy this, and again, let me go into an incognito window. So if I say I want to buy this, yeah, the minimum is 20 accounts. So I think that kills it right there. You're much better off with a business account if you want to do that. Tony and Tamara.
So I've used the incognito and it gave me the same thing.
Interesting. All right, maybe it's not up in Atlanta. That's really weird. I would have thought they would have done it by coast, but
yeah, Tony, suggestion to do a backdoor VPN. VPN over to David's internet connection. I'm kidding, but VPN over to Florida, and then chances are you might get it access to.
I have it in LA too.
Right, or just do the sessions thing. It's $100 for the entire year, and you get everything. You get the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, I'm already paying for the Pro for the year.
So if
You
you,
think
but
that
if
might
you were
have
to,
something to do with it?
no, if you switch to business, it'll upgrade your plan and you'll get a credit back for what you've already paid. But you can add sessions to anything, to any account. You can add a session.
Yes. Yes.
So if I view add-ons, then I just need to look at sessions.
No, it's not going to be under add-ons. It's going to be go to the plans and pricing. Up at the very top, you've got along the top here, you've got
Okay.
product solution. Here, I'll actually let me go into my account so it looks. There we go. Product solutions, resources, plans and pricing. Click on plans and pricing,
Okay.
and then you click on webinars and events.
Okay.
And then the magic here is to go down to where it says monthly subscription under Zoom sessions and change that to PPA, pay per attendee. Hey, Tamara, did you have any luck?
Thank you.
I did. You got that all set up. I'm amazed. I am so excited. My next question.
Wait, what did you have to do?
I did what you told me to do.
All I said was play with things, like put a picture in, like that's
No, I opened everything up and then I went back and I opened it up and then everything was logged in and it worked.
That's you literally. I think you just have to go and like open the page if you
To open all the things.
Yeah.
I got it. It's amazing.
I think that's what Andy said. You only have to log in once and create the connection, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Tamara, you never actually logged into the sessions yet.
I feel like I did log into the sessions, but then I don't think everything was open at the same time, which is what I think I needed to do.
Let's just acknowledge the obvious that it's because I told you what to do.
User error on my part. And once again, David has saved the day. So David, my question to you, friend. Now I have that sessions. Do I have to request 1080 or now is it 1080? It's just magic.
Magic.
I love magic.
Just you may have to turn it on.
Okay.
Oh, you have to enable. Yes. Good.
You got to select it in your options.
Yep. So if you go into, I'm so glad you said that, Robert. I would have looked.
That's what I see. This is why I came in person.
Yeah. So if you go into your settings, and then up at the top, just type. Oh, it used to be called Group HD. It's not anymore. Now I think it's just HD.
And this is dumb person question. This is my settings of Zoom itself.
Yep.
My
Just
Zoom.
go into your Zoom account. Exactly. Go into
Got it.
settings and then up at in the search bar, type in HD.
Cool.
And you should see, although you may have to, log out and log back in for it to kick in. I'm not sure, but you should see now.
Enabling HD.
You have to enable HD video, and then you should see two options: standard HD and full HD.
All right. Sure.
For both HD video quality and for meeting advanced. Sorry, the first one is for webinar. I apologize, and the second one is for meetings.
Find this Zoom portal. Account management, account settings, meetings tab. Okay, got it. Can do that.
Tamara, did it switch on? Were you able to?
Please.
Did you enable it?
I did not. I found out how to do it, but I'm on my way to do that now.
Okay, just to make sure, because it may be locked at your admin level if it doesn't go in there, because you were at the user level.
Okay.
No.
Sure. Let's see.
Okay. What else are people working on while she plays with that?
While I play. Hold, please.
Well, when you run a webinar, there is a tick box for webinar HD quality. So you must make sure that's ticked.
Oh, really? By
Yeah.
webinar?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
In the options when you start a webinar, it actually says, and when it's saying HD, it's 720 HD, I'm afraid.
It surprises me a little bit that for Tony, I see you, by the way. Give me 1 second. It surprises me a little bit that for business accounts, they still make you request 1080p. I understand why they make pro accounts request it, because not everyone really cares about it. But for a business account, if you're paying that much money, it seems to me that it should just be enabled. I don't know. It's just
When I searched HD, it brought me to both webinar and that, and I just clicked them both on. So
there you go.
perhaps
You are in beautiful full HD.
feeling so bright and cheery.
Tony and then Fred.
I was just wondering, the church has an account, a pro account, and is it automatically getting 720 even without asking?
No. You have to request 720. You have to write here. I'll give you, I actually have a little,
Do you still have to do that? I don't think you do
I think you do.
anymore.
I was jumping in with you have to go to your video settings, and down at the bottom there's an HD box, and there's also a mirror my video box. I think that is in all Zoom, depending on what camera you have up to your system.
Well, you have to do a few things. So
Yeah.
I'm putting in, so here are the sort of the steps in the chat. You go to support.zoom.us, requests new, then actually here, you know what? Let me click on this so I can show you. At least this is the way it's always been. I'm not signed in, so that didn't work. Sorry. Let me sign in. Okay. So once you click in here, you go to the support, then you select technical support. And then you submit your request. And I put in here in the subject, you put improving resolution. For me, I put for eCam, but for you can put anything else. And then you ask them to do HD. Now, in what I sent you, it's called Group HD because that's what it used to be called. It's not called that anymore. Then once you do that, then you also have to, in two places, in your, if it's not on already, in your admin settings. So once they turn it on, in your admin settings, you have to search for HD. And you have to make sure, I'm sorry?
3 places.
Oh, because in the meeting also, yeah.
No, you got, as you say, webinar meeting, but you've also got your Zoom events because you've got a sessions license.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. Sorry. I meant 3 places. So the first place you have to do it is here on your admin, and you can turn these all on. The second place you should check. It may already be done, but you should check in your user settings. And again, you just type in HD and just make sure this is all toggled on. Then, thirdly, in your client itself, I believe, hold on a second as I pull that up.
I just looked it up. I think you don't have to anymore, David.
You don't have to request it?
I don't think you have to request it. I feel like I heard that a while back, but let me just put what I found in the...
Well, let me do this. I'm going to tell you what.
I could be wrong, but...
Oh,
I don't believe you have to request it, but I believe
I don't think you do anymore. I think that here's what it says to enable it, and then I'll put the thing of what it says, what yours required. You have to have a... here's the required.
Let me pull that up, what you've got here.
There's the other one. It just says sign into your meeting and click on HD video quality.
HD, right? Okay. If applicable for your account.
Right.
No, but you're still not giving it automatically.
But go to the other one because it tells you how to get on it. It just, I think that you can. Because if you look at what makes it your account applicable, if you've got a pro account, I don't think you have to ask. It's pro, business, education, or enterprise.
This is the same thing.
I used to ask, like the requirements for the meeting.
Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I see it now.
I did ask on mine in the beginning, but I feel like in fairly recent times, it has just been standard if you're a pro.
Here's what I'll tell you. Maybe, I may be wrong. I know for a fact that you still have to request it. You still have to request full HD from business accounts. So it would make sense to me that you would still have to request it for you'd have to still request, but maybe I'm wrong. That would be great. That would be
David,
great.
right there. It's in plain English. It's pro plus either events or sessions, business, education, or enterprise. and the setting must be enabled by Zoom support.
But I thought we were talking about requesting 720, which is what
Yeah,
we
no,
used to
we're
have to do.
requesting-
We
no,
don't
right,
have to
right.
do that.
Right. Pro. Wait a second. But look at this. Oh,
David,
Pro
you-
with Zoom.
Yeah.
Here you go. But see, this
Right.
isn't true. But this isn't right, because if you have the sessions, you don't need to request it. It doesn't need to be enabled if you have the sessions license. It only has to be enabled on the back end if you have the business, education, or enterprise account. So this is actually not accurate, right? Because we just did it with Tamra.
Well, I don't know if mine has worked. Would have to log in.
Well,
and
you
check.
wouldn't see the tick box there. If it
Yeah,
wasn't.
you wouldn't.
Okay.
It wouldn't be in the interface, Tamara.
Right.
Oh, okay, nice.
So,
I love that.
but maybe you don't have to for pros anymore. That's really interesting for the 720.
I
don't
think for
know.
the 720, you don't have to. If you have a pro account, it's just there.
There is also, though, and I don't know why I'm having such a hard time finding it.
You're on a Mac.
Oh, is that why?
On Windows, it shows up at the bottom of the screen. It says camera and audio.
No,
This
that's
is
not what
video
I'm,
and audio.
that's not what I'm looking for. Hold on a second.
That's the one. If you go to your settings in that client right there, there's an HD box you have to click. Because I just got burned by that this week when I was doing my medical show. They switched computers on me on day 2, and I went into that setting, and the HD box was not checked.
Right. Hold on. Sorry. Wait. I have to leave computer audio. Okay. Sorry, I'm now in this meeting like 12 times. So
There you go.
just
So
give me a
click
second
your
here.
little carrot next to video.
Right. So here you go here, video, and then here you have to check HD.
Scroll all the way down. Yeah, scroll. Yeah, that's the other one.
So there are 3 places. You need to check 3 places. They may already be checked, but you've got to check in your admin settings, your user settings, and here.
But that HD box in your video shows up for everybody, even if they don't have a pro account.
Correct. But it has to be enabled.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, automatically it doesn't actually, Zoom does not automatically kick in the HD of the camera that you're using until you actually tell it to in Zoom.
Right.
Mine is always
Harshit.
checked unless I've got slow internet, then I uncheck it.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole process again. So business accounts, as I have low vision, for example. So low vision wise, you don't have any bugs or anything that shows Zoom. I guess with a business account, you could put your own bug in, is what I heard. With the Pro Plus,
What do you
I
mean
guess,
bug?
do you have a Zoom bug that's on the right hand corner or watermark? I guess.
Do I not have a Zoom button?
I don't know. I mean,
Wait,
yeah,
Mike,
I can't see it. So
what does thumbs up mean?
I was answering your question of, do we have a Zoom bug? And the answer is yes, we do on YouTube. Is that what you're
we
asking?
do. And this
Okay.
is a business account.
business account, right? So like the Pro Plus between the two, I guess that's one major difference. Sessions.
No, but it's
if
not.
You,
No, but
No?
it's not, because we're in a business account. So there is a
there's
bug.
no bug, right? That's
No,
your
there
own.
is. There
There
is.
Hmm.
There is a bug. Now, maybe I just never turned it off, but I didn't know I could.
I think you can. And this came up on one of the shows in office hours anyway. But the other piece was about sessions. Doesn't matter if you're using Windows or Mac at this point, because I know with liminal tools, they're mainly Mac oriented. And sometimes having a PC might be troublesome to utilize some of that. So that's
can't-
another
you
decision making.
Yeah, you can't use liminal apps on a PC, and so
Right.
it really doesn't make a lot of sense to do the sessions route. Because
Okay, so then
you're
business it
paying
is.
40
Thank you so much.
Right, because then you're paying 40.
Right.
The extra $40 that you pay for doing the sessions is for the liminal apps, and if you can't use those, then it's $40 you've just
Now-
paid. Yeah.
And we'll be fair to Zoom and say that now, unless you want sessions where you're doing ticketed events, right? That's different. If you're just talking about liminal side, yes, liminal apps are all Mac based.
Right,
And that's
shouldn't
why you're
forget-
getting sessions.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. We shouldn't forget that. I mean, I bought the Sessions PPA license, which I never use. I bought it so I could have the Lumen apps. But you're absolutely right. You are buying a Sessions license, a tiny, tiny one, but you could even buy bigger ones and actually use those tools. You're absolutely right, Mike.
Yeah. And John, you can fill in a little more when it comes to the PPA versus that too.
That's another confusing piece of this. Yeah.
Well, Zoom sessions and Zoom events is is interesting. But again, once you get up into the higher licenses, other features lower also kick in, right? So this is what John and I were talking about before, where if you actually have a pro license and you also have sessions, you officially can actually make that meeting initially in meeting and then bump it up now because you now automatically, because you have sessions, John, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, please, that you now have webinar.
You don't get webinar with sessions, do you?
Zoom session allows you to run webinars or meetings up to the limit that you purchased.
Yes.
But oh, it does. I'm so sorry. Wait a second. The monthly subscription does. No. Okay. Again, it's entirely possible I'm reading this wrong. So Zoom sessions, if I stay on the monthly subscription, it says includes Zoom webinars plus all of this. When I change to the PPA, that disappears.
Yeah.
That is
No.
absolutely correct, David. I have the 2 licenses, and that's the way they behave.
So you
But
can't.
I think the way they do it is, I think what they're trying to say to you is if you go into your meetings and webinar section in your account, you can run a standalone webinar. If you have the paper attendee, you can only access a webinar by setting up a sessions session.
I don't know enough about this to explain, but I'm not sure that now in Zoom events with the PPA, you do still get. Oh no, sorry, I lied. I thought that said this is host unlimited webinars or events at chosen capacity based on okay. I don't know if Zoom sessions includes webinar or not. I don't know.
David, can I try and answer this?
Please.
The way to understand this is what John said. If you have a sessions license and you go into sessions, you can define a webinar or a meeting. If you have a sessions subscription, you get the option to run a standard webinar from your backend. You can define a webinar, not as a session, but just as a standard webinar to the amount that your license on sessions has.
But I understand that. So if you just have a PPA sessions license, if you don't have a webinar license separately though, can you spin up a webinar from within sessions?
From within
or do you
sessions,
need a separate
yes.
webinar?
No, from within sessions, yes, but you
Okay.
don't have it as a webinar option in your portal. You can't define a
okay.
webinar.
Okay.
But you can define the webinar if you have a subscription.
In sessions.
Sessions.
That's a little confusing, but I get it now.
It's this thing that we keep getting tripped over on, is the different naming conventions they have for different places of the apps that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the
Tamara.
same, not different, but same.
Right.
So I have
Tamara,
a question that Robert
by
may
the
be able to
way-
answer. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Tamara, and by the way, where the heck did he go? Where do you go, Mike? Oh, there you are.
I'm here, over here.
No. Sorry, I couldn't find you on my list. I'm passing you host. Sorry.
Pick me. Yep.
Tamara, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yep. I'm here.
Robert, maybe to answer this, someone might be able to answer this. So my Zoom session license is going to end in a few months. If I don't use those 100, do they just go away and I re-get another one, or can they roll into another year?
No, they expire at the end of the day. And if you bought another session of tokens, which is what we like to call them, then they start from a year from that date. So you could end
Got
up
it.
with, as I have, 3 different sets of tokens running in the same year, and they all expire at different times. But I hope to have used them in.
Wait, John. So if I bought 100 tokens on March 1st, 100 on April 1st, 100 on May 1st, in June, could I use 300 seats in the same event?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, because they all count
Okay,
up. So
cool.
you can accumulate them, but if you don't use them before their expiry date, then
Got
they're
it.
gone.
Right.
All right.
Tamara,
Sounds
there's
good.
one other thing that you can do, and it's worth remembering. And we found this out by sheer mistake, is if you have a pay-per use or whatever it's called, sessions license, you can allocate that license to 2 different users when you manage that license.
Oh.
with the subscription, you can only allocate it to one user. With the other version, what's it called? Paper?
It's like
Yeah, pay per attendee.
Paper
Paper
attendee.
attendee. I keep thinking pay-per-view, and I don't want to say
Right.
that. Paper
I know.
attendee. And if you have the pay-per attendee, you can allocate it to do 2 different users, which is very useful if you have 2 different types of meetings that you're setting up, because you can preset them and do everything you want and then just run them. But I don't think you can run them at the same time, because you
Okay.
need to be logged in
Got it.
into one or the other.
Well,
So
you
I'm not sure
could, you
about that.
could, if you've got multiple accounts. So
Mhm.
each paid for account is allowed to run a thing, whatever that thing is, whatever that thing is depends on the licenses allocated to that thing. So you always have to have a paid license to if you're going to do an upgrade for webinar, you know, an upgrade for larger meetings, you're going to have events or session licenses, either monthly or paper attendee. They've
Mhm.
all got to be allocated to a user. So if you've got, as David's version of when he was going to buy 3 sets of tokens at 3 times, he could actually allocate those to 3 different users, and they could all be running their sessions event at the same time.
Gotcha.
And you would also have 3 different hubs.
And if you're paying, this is getting more complicated. If you're
sessions, I
paying
know.
per attendee, you can more or less run as many hubs as you like within reason.
Okay.
Because you
one
can
more
just declare
question.
new hubs.
Because Robert's in the room, and I think he had mentioned this before.
Sure.
You had mentioned, I believe, Robert, that you could use a webinar as a meeting in order to get production tools and OSC into that, or to be able to use production tools. Do you recall?
I don't know if you can do. I've never seen you. It doesn't work for a meeting. It works for a webinar. Yeah?
Right.
So you can set up the webinar, not in sessions, but just as a standard webinar. If you have the sessions license
Right.
Allocated to that same user, and then you can select the production studio from the branding in that webinar. Yeah. So
Okay.
that works. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Just one thing, and I keep repeating this, and this is one of the things that hurts all of us, is that if you set up all of your templates for that specific production studio session, you can't move them anywhere. Yeah? So you need to have them available in some sort of downloads that you're uploading, and then upload them to the next webinar that you hold.
Okay.
Unless you have a repeating session, a repeating webinar, that's different. But that has all of the issues that it has.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
And the question none of you,
sorry, John.
The question none of you have asked is, at this moment in time, on this business account, I am expired of licenses. My last 200 expired last month with an event that I was running. But my hubs are still there waiting for me to reactivate them. So they're still there dormant waiting for me to reactivate them. And if you are running Zoom sessions and Zoom events, you can save and copy templates around. It's a lot more flexible like that.
Neat. Right? So it comes down to, again, depending on the level, again, of either being at sessions level or the events level, it gets really interesting. Thanks, David. Take care. We'll see David next week on Friday. Go ahead, Robert.
Can I just ask an open question? There was a point when on webinars, you could enable to push 1080p to all of the attendees. I don't see that option anymore. What it says is to have your webinar in 1080p. Has that changed?
I'm going to go over to John, because John has been doing webinars all week. So go over, John.
So just happens I've got my enterprise account running over here, and I have just started a webinar for you, just for you. And when you've got that webinar HD quality button. So I click on that, and then it asks me if I want standard 720 or 1080. So I have to specify it when I create the webinar.
Yeah, I know that much, but my question is, it used to force 1080p to all of the attendees when you select that option. Has it stopped doing that? And the reason I ask this question is because if you're forcing everyone to receive 1080p, then some people have bad internet. They get a really messy experience.
I'm a little shocked that they did force it, Robert, but I'll let John answer. Go ahead, John.
Well, you choose what you're going to send out to everybody, and that's why they're still asking, and that's why they didn't just upgrade everybody, because 720 is not half of 1080, is it? It's 4 times effectively.
Yeah.
So yes, as far as I know, they have still not changed it. That's why I like running a tablet on the meeting to see if it changes. As far as I know, they are still at the rule that they send out one version for everybody. And they don't have a lower quality for other users. And if they need to do low quality, they seem to bring everybody down. I'm still waiting for them to, be able to send out 2 versions, but they still don't.
And that's something, Tamara, if you're going to be using webinars, is something you need to watch out for, because you get all of this high quality production stuff that's going in and you're sending it all out. And then you've got people who have limitations on the internet and they have a really bad experience.
Okay.
Especially the tricky one where you've got a lot of people accessing the same access points or in the same building using the same internet. That's when all the issues come up.
Okay.
Absolutely. Robert is absolutely correct, especially those corporations that have not gotten the actual other Zoom product, which we never talk about, which is related to them actually having a Zoom server, lack of terminology, in-house. So there is that.
Referring to Zoom Mesh?
Yes. Thank you, Robert. Yes. So Zoom Mesh, but yes. So most of that would definitely be a larger enterprise account that Zoom would be offering that to them, just because of the fact that they would want to actually take the load off of their servers as well, of all the people trying to connect up to it. And again, if there's a couple thousand people within the same building, it makes perfect sense for there to be a mesh within the building.
But I've also seen this happening when you get a load of people that are around an access point of some sort. Yeah. In a local community, you've got hundreds of people around accessing it through the same access point, whether it's Wi-Fi or whether it's mobile. Exactly the same thing happens. So you really need to just ask that one additional question: where are your users going to be? Because if they're located in one physical place, it'd be better just to select 720 than 1080 for sure.
And also, too, if they are going to be in one place, many moons ago, when I used to do, long before Zoom, they would actually have us go to boardrooms so that we could actually purposely do, and this would be equivalent of doing a Zoom room setup then within that boardroom. Now you can have X amount of people in that boardroom, and instead of it being that X many people at their desk physically watching an individual clients connecting up to Zoom through that pipe that the corporation is paying for, and everybody's coming in as an individual bandwidth. All right. So I'll just throw it out to the YouTube crew. Don't forget, we're taking questions and answers for Zoom Test Kitchen. So let us know on YouTube in chat. Go ahead, Tamara. I heard you. I swear. Oh, Tamara's on mute.
I was just typing out that I have to leave, but thank you so much, everybody, for your help. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Tamara.
All righty.
Take care.
Bye.
Harshid, did we answer your questions properly?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It really helped. Like I said, I'm in the market of another 1080p account and being blind and all of that, so I know how to use Zoom. So I really appreciate the information we got today.
Yeah, no problem. Again, yes, the Zoom licensing can be very confusing at times. So definitely, and of course, my big suggestion too, even though David was showing being able to, again, depending on how many accounts you actually have, it is always best to negotiate, if you can, with an actual Zoom sales rep.
Absolutely, yeah. 1 to 2 would do just fine for me for my needs, but again, it's worth asking the questions and negotiating. I definitely agree.
Yeah, Yeah, no, it's not a bad thing. And if you need, if you're just going to be one or two to actually go through the web interface, but you never know what those sales reps can actually get you. So Tony, how are you doing over there? You're being quiet on me now. Did you disappear on us? Mr. Tony Mobley, come in. Oh,
I'm still here.
Are you?
I'm still here.
Anything? So did we answer your question about licensing when it comes to Pro and Zoom sessions?
Yes, my questions were answered. I do have some additional questions, but I didn't want to take the group off the path.
Absolutely. It's open right now, Tony. So go for it. Come on and let's go.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out a way in which I can bring the church participants in a Zoom meeting. What software would you suggest I use to bring? I have access to Memo Live. I have access to Cinemaker. There are about 5 people that I'd like to provide lower thirds for.
Okay.
So they come into it's a regular Zoom meeting. And I was thinking that maybe I could use Memo Live, but it just seems like that's a heavy lift for so few people. And I was just wondering if there was something that would be simple that I could I can do SPX for myself and do all kinds of lower thirds, but the other people are not going to purchase the $9 SPX so that they can bring in their lower thirds.
How many lower thirds do you need, Tony? How many lower thirds do each one need?
I would say probably about 5 or 6 at the most.
Okay. Well, my solution will only give you 2 or 3. But I have got a quick way that will get you 2 or 3 straight away. Can you see mine? Can you see my little logos?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where they come from?
No.
Video filters. You can add 3 individual video filters to each account. I think it's 3. I've got 2 in at the moment. I think I can get a 3rd one in.
Okay. And
a video filter, you have to do it through the website. You don't do it through the app. You do it through the website. So you go into the Zoom US for each one, and you can go into the filters, and you can add your own filters, and you can add a graphic, and then you can resize it. And if it's transparent, you see this one is transparent. This one isn't transparent. This one's transparent, so the background is following around it. And then you can upload, as I said, I think it's up to 3 PNGs, and they can be any size you like. You can resize them. You can move them to the top corner like this, or you can make them rectangular and put them across the bottom, however you like. So you could do a lower third that way. Very, very simple. Cost, zilch, because it's part of Zoom.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh, and yeah, obviously you can only have one at a time because they're just replacing the other filters that are there.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, this would be going, then again, it depends on how pretty, Tony, you want it to look as well. So that, depends on, like you were saying, that plugin that you know about already within Zoom is a great next step if they want it prettier. But again, they have to get more technical with it, right? So again, it depends on your audience, right? Where here, you would just have to say, okay, yeah, go to video filter, change it, right?
And so I could actually either provide the filter. No, that's not going to work. I was going to say, if I did the filter for each person and but it has to do with the Zoom account.
Yeah, but if you could screen share with them and borrow and take over their screen for 5 minutes, you could do it.
Yeah, yeah, that would definitely be a suggestion. What John was just saying, or making sure that you walk them through step by step. That if they, have now, what I would suggest doing is make sure that you make the PNGs for them, unless they are artistic enough to understand the criteria that you need them to do. But I would just basically send them like a zip file or 7-zip file of the PNGs, and hopefully they know how to unzip that. And then just unzip those into their like picture folder or equivalent on a Mac, and then go from there and just tell them to go to that folder and input those into their web interface.
Okay.
At least
And
then they would be there at that particular point, and then it'd be a matter of them when they want to turn them on, they can. So an example would be like if you wanted to, let's say, like John did, where he put his logo on the top left, you could actually have the church logo as one of the ones that could be maybe in the top left or top right. Right? This would be equivalent of putting bugs in, right? At your top corners as well as not just the lower third.
Yeah, and this goes backwards. Okay, this is a bit weird. Robert will like this because he likes these sort of situations. This is backwards in a way, because you have to put it in as the administrator of the Zoom account. And if they've all got their own individual Zoom accounts, it doesn't matter. But if you were a big business, you'd only still be able to put 2 or 3 logos in. So if you're a big business with lots of accounts, you wouldn't be able to use this fiddle. But it works in individual accounts because you can put it into individual accounts. In fact, do you want me to just very quickly just share the?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
If I can find the right screen again. It's always the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just double checking to make sure that John or David has sharing on, and he does. Go ahead, John.
Okay, so here is I manage my filters. So I can choose files, and I just go and get how about one of my, am I allowed to show these? I think I'm allowed to show these. So here's one of the badges I've just won recently for being a Zoom community champion. So you see it comes up, so I can change the size. It doesn't help with my cough. I can move it around, and then that becomes another one of my filters.
okay.
All right, so I've now got 3 filters, but that's on this account. So if you are individuals running individual pro accounts, then it works. If you're a business and you want lots of them, you can't do it. You would just use it for logos. But the other thing is, if you go into the Zoom apps world, I think you'll find there's 2 or 3 apps now that do lower thirds, and there are quite a few free options there. So that's the other option.
Okay. I'll definitely check that out.
And again, just for everybody on YouTube, of course, if you don't know what John means about getting apps, that's in the Zoom marketplace.
I have one more, and this is really personal. So I have 2 machines that are dedicated to Conversation with Tony Mobley. And because of space issues, they are connected to my ATEM. My ATEM it's a Pro, it only has 4 ports. I have this camera, which is connected to my teleprompter as one camera. The 2 Conversation with Tony Mobley computers and the iPad that I'm using to control the camera that is here. I would like to add one more device to be in this meeting, but I don't want to I can come in, I have a laptop that's not connected to the setup. Is there a way with NDI or something, or an adapter or something else, that I could actually have the laptop come in and be another selection point as a camera without having to get another ATEM Mini Extreme? Because that's not in my budget right now to do that.
Tony, I have a perfect example of that because my setup actually has it here. I've run out of ports in my A10 Mini Pro as well. So I'm actually bringing in, I could actually bring in 9. So I have turned my A10 Mini Pro into a 9 input switcher. And you'll go, how'd you do that? What I did was I actually ended up getting
Mike, let me turn the recording on because I want to get this.
All right. All right. And I will agree to allow you to record, Tony. And everybody's laughing on YouTube right now. So this is cute. Okay. So what I have done is, no, I haven't circumvented the obvious of, magically putting 2 A10 Mini Pros together, which you could, right? What I have done is I've actually bought a compatible, and that's the important part, a compatible 5 input to 1 output HDMI external box. Okay. And this external box is going, so I have all my additional non-camera inputs going into there in my setup. Your setup could vary. In my setup, I've actually put all my PCs that I bring in. So as you see right now, with the red that's behind me around my actual video, that is actually coming from one of my laptops. Okay. That's being brought in the ATEM. So my camera and that is they're both dedicated ports on the ATEM Mini Pro. But that red background right now, which is actually VLC running a video that keeps looping, it is on one PC, but I also have another PC hooked up to the same 5-port HDMI external box. And when we go over sometimes too, and I can actually do this now live because Tony's recording, so we're going to break the kitchen again. Okay, so I'll be right back and I'll show you this graphic. And I have to turn off the key. And now I will come back. And now you will just see the red video, but that's actually coming from my laptop, as I said, right? So you'll see that I'll actually now show you the Magic of Television. There's my VLC player that's actually playing full screen. But if I go over to my HDMI 5 box that I have a little remote for, I can actually switch it over to my other PC. And momentarily you'll see a little switch. And now I'm on input number 5, which is actually external. But I never changed anything on the ATEM. As you can see now, and I just got to get myself organized a bit. And I'm back. But I can't have the red now around me because of the fact that I'm now using that as a different input coming in to the ATEM Mini Pro. Did that make sense, Tony? If not, yes. I will go a little different. So basically, it's an external box, and here's the little remote that I'm talking about. And hopefully that'll get in focus. And basically, the actual remote here, I get to change my inputs here. That's why it was so quick to change. And it allowed me to go between each PC. Now I'm doing it with PCs because I know better than to do it with cameras. I won't do it with cameras because cameras are a lot more finicky, where PCs and Macs are less finicky when it comes to the technology, because it's not necessarily related to the negotiation of, it's not related to the actual, let me say this properly, related to the technology called EDID, which is the electronic device ID. So when it actually sends, so the PC, so the actual, sorry, let me do this right. The 5 input to 1 output unit is handling the EDID from all my PCs, not the ATEM, right? The only thing that the ATEM sees EDID wise is the one output coming out of the 5 input, 1 output. So that's why I said it has to be a box that is ATEM friendly, that the ATEM understands the EDID coming out of it. Some of the cheaper models of these won't necessarily work with the ATEM because the ATEM does have specifics within the actual port itself that you have to meet, that they can't be an improper electronic ID, which is the EDID. The ATEMs are very particular in that way. So you could pay $30 for one of these units or easily get into $300. Now, having said that, there is a bit of a middle ground that you should be able to get one that the ATEM is very happy with. And I can tell you the model of this one, Tony, in after hours. But this model here does work with the ATEM without any issues. As you saw, I could switch back and forth all day long and it didn't break the ATEM because we know the ATEM, if it is unhappy, it'll freeze very quickly. So you can stop recording now unless you have a follow-up question.
No, I was wondering what the box was.
Yeah.
So you'll share that in after hours, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And
In Zoom after hours, yes.
You could also go the other way. So I have a box over there, which takes 4. Again, these are the sort of things that you use to get your TV, your remote, and your PlayStation, all these other things connected to TV. That's what we're using. They're not as subtle as an ATEM, but they do work. So I've got a device up behind me which will take 4 video out inputs and then just put them in quarters. So yes. Sometimes I use that to send stuff to people. Sometimes I use it in the room to give me a view of four video inputs into one TV. But you want the ATEM at the end because the ATEM does fluid changes between, and these are not. These are quite drastic. And as Mike says, if they then decide they need to do negotiation, they can take 2 or 3 seconds to switch over from one video feed to the other. So you do that in the background, and then you bring them back into the ATEM, and it doesn't look like there was all the hassle.
Right. And Tony, when I gave you the example here, it's because we're in the Zoom test kitchen, right? I would never do that in production, right? So, when David does leave us and all of a sudden he says, oh, Mike, yeah, continue with the release notes. That's what I'm quickly doing back here, the magic of television, to make sure that I'm now ready to actually now go to my PC that I've got as you saw, I had the release notes ready to go as if we needed to talk about them. So it got me away from. So yes, I had to lose my red background, which I could fix easily. Again, just go backwards with it, which is basically go off for a second, put the key back on for the ATEM, switch the input back from that back to the laptop. Right now it's from my PC to my laptop. And then the laptop is actually playing the VLC, and then magic of television, I'm back and you got the red around me again.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Welcome. Again, that's the way of doing it without breaking the bank. And yes, you're right. The next would have been for you to go in the ATEM models to go to the extreme. Of course, there's a lot of additional benefits to the extreme above and beyond that. But if that's the only feature you need, that you're just running out of inputs, Tony, that easily this unit, you can, and this one, to be fair, is also a baby one. There's actually another one that you could actually go up to like 8 in one in. So I chose this one just because I haven't outgrown that one yet. Let's put it that way. If I'm outgrowing that one, then I'm getting worried. I probably should go do an extreme at that particular point then, because now I've already doubled up. And yes, does it make it less available in the production? Yes, it does. So you have to be strategic in your technical directing, right? So as I was mentioning, I lost my fanciness of having me keyed out, where I've been, turning on my key in the middle. that's now gone, because if I did have it with the other, I then would have to have VLC running on the other machine with that video on that other machine so that I could actually have that going on again.
Gotcha.
Right.
Thank you again.
Welcome.
Can I just ask a follow-up question on that? Because
Sure.
I do a similar thing, but I use a KVM for that. And I just
Sure.
I have it set up in such a way that the output of the KVM is going into one of the inputs on my ATEM. And then I have these other machines where I'm just duplicating the screen that I have, the monitor that I have, with the output that's going into the KVM. So I'll always know what's going to be switched. And I'll switch it on the KVM before I switch it on the ATEM Mini Pro, so that we don't have that black screen or blank screen or mix up in the coding. But if what I've understood from what you and John have been saying to Tony is that if you have a camera, it's better if you're switching from camera to go through the ATEM directly, because then you have a very clear transition. You've got you end one frame, you start on the next. But if you're using other sources like documents and things, you can switch them and then go through the ATEM and switch over to them, because they aren't. So is that the way I've understood what you were saying?
Yeah. And again, this comes from my years of production experience, just because of the fact that majority of the time I'm switching more cameras than I'm necessarily switching an actual PC in. Now, of course, life has changed, and all of a sudden we got overlays and we've got all kinds of wonderful additions, especially in the hardware switching world. But from my old days of have to be careful about, you're saying basically what Robert is talking about techie wise, we're talking about iframes, right? And that is the important thing, is that when you have an iframe, if you don't get the iframes sunk up properly, it'll stutter, right? And this is where back in the old days of video switchers, you really, really had to be careful with that. Nowadays, that is disappeared more and more and more. But again, I'm an old dog in that regards. When I've been running the SD switchers back in the day, when heaven forbid we had to have gen locks or nothing worked. The luxury of the ATEM Mini world coming out with it just being an input and it just working is great. But again, you've got to take into consideration too how much black magic is done in the background that we don't really know that they're actually doing to make sure that that video is they're even happy with that video, right? Because they don't like certain frame rates. They don't like certain, there's a lot of different parameters too, which I'm not going to go down the Blackmagic manual. If anybody's interested, of course, you could search that in the couple hundred pages of the ATEM user guide that everybody's laughing at with me in the room right now about. But yes, the reason I do it so basically, Robert, in my normal setup, not my studio setup here, but my normal setup when I usually do broadcasts, if I was using the ATEM Mini Pro, I would do my camera 1, camera 2. So camera 1, input 1, camera 2, input 2, camera 3, input 3. And my fourth input was usually my, if I'm bringing in slides or whatever, if I'm just doing something small. Now, again, if I'm having multiple potential PCs at that particular point coming in, so let's say I have a PC at front of house with me, but I also have a PC on the podium, if we're doing like a corporate type of scenario, then what I would do during the break of when that laptop is being taken down on stage at the podium, I would switch over to a slideshow maybe locally off of at the front of house. But again, it would be an A/B switch type scenario where I wouldn't necessarily need the keyboard and mouse portion of the KVM. That's why I've only done the video doing the HDMI that I'm talking about to Tony. Now, if you want to do the KVM scenario, that's what Robert is using. Again, I don't know if you're fully utilizing the keyboard and mouse, and you can let me know about that. Because what I do internally myself here is that if I need to, for example, when we do the release notes and I do need and I'm showing the video coming into the ATEM, obviously I'm not using a KVM. So the video I actually bring up as, and I'm very happy with using VNC, the VNC technology. So I'm actually logging in over the network from my studio PC, which is connected to the Zoom meeting that you guys are watching on me now. And I'm just remoting into that machine and actually running the PC that way, right? Virtually, I guess, headless, basically, to a point, as they call it in the PC or even the Mac world. So if there was a Mac on stage or a PC on stage, I'm more worried about getting the video back, because I could always get the audio back from that PC as well into the ATEM through the HDMI port that's coming back to me. Or if I'm, depending on how far the stage is, of course, is to automatically, once it's actually leaving the podium, I would automatically put it on SDI to bring it back to me if I was using the ATEM Mini Pro, and then bring it back from SDI to HDMI again. But yes, Robert, I would like to know why you went KVM versus just an HDMI one. I think the audience would want to know that too.
Well, it was basically because I had to control the multiple Mac Minis that I do have, that I'm doing this from. And of course, the downside, there is a limitation for this, because when you're switching on the KVM from my situation, one Mac Mini to the other, you're actually changing the output. So if you need to edit something or pre-prepare it, you can't do that. That's the downside of that. Yeah? So you need to switch to one of the cameras, do it there offline, be prepared, and then switch back, and then you're on.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And that's what I'm suggesting, Tony, as well. That's for you production wise, is to keep that in mind, that once you have this unit, it is what it is whenever you switch it to it. Right. So if you do need to go to that other input that's on it, you have to make sure that you switch away from it, like I did when I was actually showing you, where I actually went to the other camera. This is the PC now, because what is going to end up happening is, which doesn't look very professional, but again, I'll show it to the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, is that, if I hit, again, I'm going from my input 2 to input 1, that's what you get. So you saw that there was the bit of the black until the proper negotiation happens in the box to bring that back up. And again, of course, now I could actually switch that out. And the magic of television now, when I come back, ta-da, I'm back again. Right? So it's always production-wise, I'm showing it here, but I would never do that in front of a client. Absolutely not. That would look very unprofessional. But yeah, it's more it's not the actual technology that I'm more worried about you getting, Tony. It would be more that the ATEM's happy with it, because the ATEM is quite finicky about what resolutions it will accept into what ports, especially into the ATEM Mini Pro. And most of their HDMI models, they're less strict on their SDI, but they're more strict on the HDMI because of the HDMI. I'll go light on technology, and I'll say the HDMI technology that comes associated with the HDMI technology itself. Because SDI is a lot more forgivable, and it's been around for a lot longer, and there's a lot less, even though back in the day there was still a lot, it's a lot less now than there is back in the day.
My use case would I think, as I'm looking at a couple of them on Amazon right now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that the 2 Conversation with Tony Mobley computers would be the 2 devices that I would connect to the KVM.
Yeah, unless you need them both switchable live all the time. But again, you are, in my experience, you're playing with fire a little bit, because there might be, the ATEM might be a bit finicky. That's all I'm saying. And I would rather have the external box handle the finicky inputs than cameras, where if the camera does work on the ATEM, then it's always going to work on the ATEM. Because the ATEM would have been very upset me switching between those two PC inputs. I will tell you that because I've tested it. I know that for a fact. The external box is handling all the finickiness of, because there's a bit of a conversation when it goes black, there's a bit of a conversation that happens between my PCs and that box before it actually goes, okay, that's what you are. Boop, here it is, right? Think of it as you're switching inputs on TV. Go ahead, Robert.
Maybe it'd be useful if we just ask Tony to tell us what he actually wants as his inputs so we can understand the switching consequences.
Yeah, that would be great. So Tony, that wouldn't be a bad thing too, for you to actually lay out sort of. Now, again, I know John Barker actually has an actual really cool website where you can actually, and yeah, go ahead, Harshish. You know about this? Explain it.
H2, well, to draw out and map out your, is it H2DR or
H2R layouts, I think.
Layouts.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, sounds similar. Doesn't
yeah,
sound
and basically,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, and basically what the H2R layouts allow you to do is it allows you to show your wiring diagram of how you're wiring up your event or your studio. So it will basically say input 1 is going to camera 1, input, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So go ahead, Tony. So what is your plan on each port on the back of the ATEM Mini Pro?
So right now, what you're looking at is port 1 on the ATEM.
Yep.
This is, I'm switching in the wrong place. So this is the backup M1 for Conversation with Tony Mobley. This is the iPad that I use to control camera 1. And then the last port is, this is the primary computer. This is a Mac Mini M4, which is the workhorse for Conversation with Tony Mobley. So what I'd like to do is to be able to take this port and this port out from the ATEM, because I'm only using these ports when I'm actually interacting with those specific computers.
Right.
And so I don't really need for them to be in the ATEM, but because of space, I only have a monitor that's dedicated to the ATEM. And so that's the thing. So I have 2 monitors and I have the teleprompter. So it's technically 3 monitors that are involved in my setup. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Right. So what I can do is, and not many people see this on YouTube, but why not? We're on the Zoom Desk Kitchen. I'm going to be pulling a David here. Why not? So you'll actually see behind my camera shot of my shot. So again, there's the ATEM Mini Pro multi-view, obviously over here. This one is my primary PC, my PC times 2. So again, I've got YouTube, everybody in YouTube. Wait, everybody.
Can we switch the spotlight? So I can't really see it.
Oh, sorry. Yep. No, sorry, Tony. Yeah. Let me do that again. So everybody in YouTube will see it. Yep. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, there's that's my multi-view coming at the ATEM. There's the ATEM sitting there. There's my, obviously, YouTube, me monitoring YouTube and interacting with everybody on YouTube. And this, of course, is the actual Zoom meeting over here. So, and again, the remote is, I usually keep that up there. That's my handy little remote over there. And the box is just actually where my head is actually where the box is actually sitting. But it's on this upper level here. and I've just basically routed the one HDMI out of it. Yeah, you'll see it right there. And it's routed out there. It is actually coming in the ATEM over here.
Got it.
And I've got all my PCs going into here. Does that make sense?
Yep. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, it's up to you which ones you want in the specific ports. Then, of course, I would obviously in your ATEM label it so that you know that, this is the, like I've done it where I've actually said 5-port HDMI switch. I've made that in my, when you could actually add labeling, custom labeling on the ATEM for that input. I've actually made that so that it's a no-brainer for me that I know that one is always going to be the one that has that input, and then my cameras are on the other ones. So my camera behind my teleprompter, the camera behind me, and I also have another camera up there as well, depending on what I'm doing.
I think when it comes to the church situation, I think I have a bypass for being able to do that, because I could use SPX graphics, put that up, the image that I have for that up, when it would do the, the black screen. Like you were just, when you were doing the demo before.
Yeah.
So if I,
now remember that the SPX is built into Zoom, right? So that would be at Zoom's level, not at the ATEM level, nor any other level. So do keep that in mind.
So that's the church logo that I just put up, right?
Yeah.
And if I did this while I switched the device to the other port, and then after I switched to the other port, then remove that, then it would be the audience would not see the glitch or the
now again, I haven't played enough with SPX, but SPX would be at Zoom's level, not at the ATEM level, right? So do keep that in mind that, my setup right now, it doesn't matter if I'm in Zoom, WebEx, what software I'm using, because everything is external to there. So I'm not adding, so any of my graphics that I'm adding is at the ATEM level, right? I'm not adding, and my audio is also being controlled at the ATEM level too. The ATEM itself is controlling the audio. Yes, I have an audio mixer, but I'm bringing that into the ATEM itself. But the ATEM is doing the majority of the work where my PC is not. The more work I have my PC doing, the less resources it will run into, and the more potential problem I will run into as well, because all of a sudden your CPU and your GPUs will start to climb very quickly. So I've put as much as I can onto the hardware to let the hardware do it before I actually bring it into any software that I want to use. So this setup right now, I could bring into, as Robert brought up earlier, the Meet Studio. I can bring this into OBS. I can bring this into Zoom, Teams, Skype, you name it. Any software package that can run on my PC that the ATEM is a USB webcam for, I could bring it into. But SPX for you is Zoom specific, which is fine because you use Zoom specific, but realize it's at Zoom's level, not the ATEM level, right? That's the most important thing to understand there, because if you have it up SPX enabled in Zoom and you cut away on ATEM, it doesn't disappear. It stays up.
Right. That's the point. That's the point I was trying to make. So I'll do it just one more time. So this, I'm on camera 1. Now I'm going to camera 3. So I've gone to camera 3 on the ATEM. And then when I remove this, I'm on camera 3. So there's no black screen that's showing up that's in between. That's what I was trying to say.
Right. Yeah. So that was very good production level switching that you did there. Yes, absolutely. But again, what are you using to bring that logo up? that was using what John suggested, correct? The video filter.
That's SPX.
Oh, that's SPX. Okay.
Yes. So I'm using SPX. So I can do.
Did I miss that logo coming up, John? Before you moved from the one to the other?
This logo is this is SPX too. Is that what you're talking about? The logo right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's SPX.
Now, is that SPX the Zoom app, or is that SPX running on a PC somewhere?
No, that's SPX. It's on Zoom. It's a Zoom app. All of this is Zoom. So if I mean SPX in Zoom. So I can put it the lower thirds, right?
Yeah.
You see the lower thirds. I can put out like if let's see. So this is the title of the sermon, right? Underneath that, is it showing? It's not showing. Let me remove. All right, Tony Mobley, remove that. Then go here. Why is it not playing? All right, so that's the title. All right.
And that's SPX still?
That's SPX.
Okay.
I can
do I know that Harshid will make a comment that actually looks like H2R graphics. So that looks right. It has a very H2R graphic look to it. Yeah, go ahead.
Take the logo off. Be right back.
Both are his products, basically, right? SPX and H2R are both Mr. Barker's products.
So I can.
They are both Zoom apps using the Layers API.
Yes.
Which effectively allows you to create HTML layers over the screen.
Yeah. So you have to do the logo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Tony, it makes sense to me now. So that actual transition that you're using is actually in SPX.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that they could do that. So that's my bad on that one. I thought that was you actually were doing something via the ATEM on that, which some people do. You know, when you see me do the transition like I've done for my Stinger, that's actually on the ATEM, that Stinger. So I could actually bring that Stinger to any, again, software program. But again, with what you're using right now, that because it is a Zoom app, you have to use it into.
Right.
So and you couldn't go to Teams tomorrow.
I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be transparent and say, I know that I could do it with the ATEM. I just don't know how to do it with the ATEM. So, it's not that I know that the ATEM can do it. I just don't know how to do it. And that may be that's something else for me to learn.
Yeah, no, that's why I would Harshid when it was making the comment, and when you were looking at that, I love that redeems. That looks like using John Barker's software called H2R Graphics. It has the identical theme, but what you would have to do on the ATEM, which again is a little bit extra on the technical side, is you basically have to then run H2R graphics on a PC input. Heaven forbid, we're talking about PC inputs here. And that PC input itself would have to be having a green screen, and you'd have to tell the ATEM to turn on the green screen functionality without going into how do we do that? Because there's many YouTube videos online of, especially from John, how to actually, either do the chroma key, which is the green, or the luma key, which is the black. I think I did that right. Yeah, chroma green. Yeah, right. Luma black. So then it depends on the graphics that you want to have up there and the colors you want to use. But again, we were talking about VizRT in the very, very beginning. And of course, that brings that all the way up to the different level, of course, too, with VizRT's graphics. engines as well.
One quick note, all I could say is use SVG for graphics because you'll get a actual size for scalability. So if you're working on anything, SVG files are always better to scale.
Yeah. As of very good. Very good. Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately with Zoom, using the filter stuff that John's talking about, doesn't understand SVGs, unfortunately, as far as I understand. But definitely will understand transparent PNGs. So that's why when John was showing the different video filters, that if you want to use the transparency scenario instead of like John's current Lord Zoom that he has up there with the black background, he would have to actually make that transparent. All right, YouTube, definitely let us know in chat if you have any questions. And,
John, can you explain what you sent me in the text?
Yeah. John's just looking for his mute button, I swear. There he is.
What did I tell you?
about what was transparent? I was confused about when you said
yeah, you said you were transparent, but you're not transparent. It's just your logos that are. It's a programmer's joke.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm telling you, you guys are making me fun. You're making me laugh in the background. I'm telling you, I had to go on mute on that one. Guys are being transparent with each other. That's good. It's good to be transparent. All right, YouTube audience, I know you're there. Let us know in chat if there's anything exciting that you want us to talk about on Q&A. Johnny, anything exciting?
Zoom clips.
Zoom clips. As soon as you say Zoom clips, my brain said storage. Go ahead, John.
Zoom clips is going AI.
It's going AI.
Yep.
So you can make an AI generated Zoom clip.
Yep. Before you've even worked out how to use Zoom clips, it's going AI. So you will be able to have an AI character and you give it a script and it will do the presentation for you. It's on its way. It's been announced.
I'm worried about that. Should I be?
Well, yeah. I expect we're going to get a lot of people who are going to do it, and then they're not going to realize it adds to their storage capacity, and then they're going to get overbills. That's what I'm concerned about.
Sure. Go ahead, Robert.
Sorry, John, did I hear you? I was trying to figure out what you had actually said. So it's not going to go like Opus clips that it produces something based on your recordings. This is actually going to go the other way. It's going to produce something based on some requirements that you have.
Does anyone know how Zoom Clips works already?
Nope.
Okay. I'm very tempted to just play Zoom's description of it.
Let's get in trouble now.
Let's do that. Let's get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Which window do I want?
All right.
That one.
Do we have to do that legal disclaimer in the ahead of time?
No, this is a YouTube video from Zoom themselves. So
all right.
With Zoom Clips, you can easily record, edit, and share high-fidelity short-form video messages, both internally and externally. Here's how to get started. Zoom Clips can be enabled from your Zoom web settings. Additionally, it can be managed from the Clips section of the web portal. You can record a clip from one of three places: from your Mac menu bar or Windows system tray, from the web portal, or from the Zoom desktop client. With flexible recording options, you can choose to record yourself, your screen, or both. You can also control advanced settings like virtual backgrounds and noise suppression. Once your preferences are set, go ahead and start recording. While filming, you can pause, mute, or delete your clip at any time. When you finish recording, hit finish. Once your clip is ready, add polish by trimming it to your preferred length. Change the video title, description, and tags for future discoverability. Share your video via an email or by a shareable link. Keep track of your video's success with dynamic statistics and respond to comments directly on the clip. Zoom Clips helps your team to communicate asynchronously, cut down on the number of meetings, and reduce lost time to ambiguous communication. To learn more, visit the product overview page here.
So if you're, that's the good news. If you're an individual user, the bad news is that's all going to get stored in your machine. And if you leave it on Clips, then it's going to add to your storage, and then you're going to have all those storage charges. So it's going to be a problematical situation for small users because you'll have to download it. But as a screen recorder, it's quite neat. However, they've just announced, as in, I think about today, I think I saw a thing from Zoom about 4 hours old, saying they're going to take it up to the AI level. So you'll be able to put a talking head and then give the talking head the text, and it will then talk for you. I don't know what voice is because I haven't managed to get it working on mine yet. And they do say you'll be able to design your own talking head in the future, sometime this year, but it's not available yet.
So very potential avatar-ish.
Yeah.
All right. A silence has come over the room. I don't know if this is good or bad.
Just thinking about what John just said.
Yeah. Exactly, Robert. Exactly. Where is this going to go? I think is a big question. It's a nice tool. I use Camtasia for screen recording, but that has a lot more features than they put in there so far. But you can record yourself, you can record your screen, you can use that share thing and make you over the screen. It's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we know Zoom will, if it does the basics at least, and they'll release it out, then obviously they're going to wait for feedback from us or equivalent to us, or even the communities themselves, to figure out what additional features they want to throw into it. We're all pondering. Johnny, you got a specialist. I don't know if that's good or bad. I feel storage coming though. But again, okay, so let's throw this out there, and we probably don't know the answer to it. How long of a video? Because I know AI can generate, the longest that I think I've seen without seriously paying a lot of money for large corporations is a couple of minutes.
Yeah, the Zoom Clips Basic is 2 minutes, but I don't know what they're going to do with this upgraded version. Because the way it was, where I read it, this AI character that can be you could be an upgrade.
Oh, but of course, because it probably needs a different LLM, would be my thought.
Yeah. You can replace yourself with the cow or the other avatars. So you can make that your talking head. You can do that now.
Right.
But they're talking about you being able to have your own personal avatar.
Right. So basically upload your image to them, which is available now on some LLMs that'll take that picture and put you into a different background scenario. But that's this would take you to the next level of, now we're making it a video, and I'm assuming talking head, John, or is this not even talking head?
Yeah, you can be you talking or a talking head. That's from what I can see, but I haven't managed to get it enabled. I haven't been able to get the avatar version of me enabled. So you're supposed to be able to put text in and get the avatar, but I can't see in the interface where you get that. But maybe that's in Plus already. Maybe that's a Plus feature, Zoom Clips Plus.
And John, did they mention anything about a use case where they see this being used? Because I can see it being used for all sort of real black scenarios, dark scenarios, but Where's the proper use case, not the business use
I
case?
think you could do a lot of this is how you do it type videos, Robert. If you've got the ability to screen share and be a talking head, you could knock out those really quickly.
Sure, I understand.
So basically, Robert, it gets down to now, John, are we assuming that they'll do video and audio, or is this just video replacement?
No, when you start the interface, you can have your video, you can share screen sound, you can be overlaid, like, you know, that overlay when you overlay the share screen, you can have that, or you can be camera only, or you can be share screen only.
Right, but I'm wondering if they're actually gonna, so let's say it's the AI version of me. Could it be a different language? Like, could I be talking in a different language and these become into multiple languages now too? I know Robert is going to go, what? Because I'm thinking, is it going to replace voiceover people? Like that video clip that you showed us was basically a person that somebody might have recorded the video and recorded the audio differently and just put them together, and that made that video, right?
I don't think you can do it now, but I think that's the direction they're sort of going in. So at a corporate level, you want to do a how-to video, knock it out in a minute, 90-second how-to video, and use it within a corporate environment. I think it's going to be very powerful. At the single use level, I'm not so sure.
And you would give it the full script, and it would make the video and use the script and generate the audio?
Why not go into AI Companion and ask AI Companion to write the script for you, and then take the script from AI Companion, give it to the AI to say it?
It might they might actually do that in the background. We don't know. And potentially you could, where you'd say in this one interface, you know, make a script about Zoom events, you know, detailed, you know, and generate an audio and video tutorial on X. And if it needs information about X, then you give it that information about that X, and then it goes, okay, here we go.
Okay, I found the other one I wanted to show you.
All righty.
Hold on. Right, now I've got her. I need to go. This is on TikTok, by the way.
Oh, this is a TikTok one. Okay.
TikTok video.
All right, Zoom on TikTok.
Zoom Clips is the hidden gem of Zoom Workplace. If you're not using it yet, go check it out. And now you can use an AI avatar for your Zoom Clips to help you crank out your videos faster and to take your place if you don't feel like appearing on screen. Maybe you're having a bad hair day. Hey! Or maybe you just need to make like 10 of these things today and you don't have time to try multiple different takes to get your lines right. AI avatars get their lines right on the first try. And their hair is always immaculate. Here's how to use them. Pick a pre-built avatar from the library in Zoom Clips, then choose a background. You will also have the option to create an AI avatar that looks like you as part of our custom AI Companion add-on coming later in 2025. After you choose your avatar, then you're going to add your video script. And if you need help generating a script, you can use Zoom AI Companion to brainstorm some ideas. And that's it. Watch your video come to life in seconds. You can use AI avatars for all kinds of things. Training videos, welcome videos, events, customer support, marketing content, educational videos. You get the gist. Make sure to try it out and let us know what you think in the comments.
There she goes. Answered the question.
That's an actually brilliant use case, because you can imagine at a Zoom meeting, a group of people brainstorming how to do something, and then getting AI to create the script for that specific video out of the summary. You're spot on, John. I think you're right on that's going to be the use case. And that sounds great, because it's so much easier for a lot of people just to pick up a video, listen to it and watch it and repeat it, than to find space to sit down and read something. Yeah? Reading is so much more difficult than listening to something. Because you can do it on the walk, you can do it going up the stairs, coming down the stairs, whatever. You can't read going upstairs, or you shouldn't.
or you shouldn't, or you're going to hurt yourself very, very well. I actually had a bit of a brain thought earlier today when I was with Josh twice on his 2 different webinars that he was doing today, and he was actually talking about not Zoom clips specifically, but just the waiting room is where this came from me. That you could actually have a video in the waiting room. I was actually contemplating getting some sort of proper script generated by AI, be it AI companion or be it insert your favorite here, including ChatGPT, for the way what we would want to be the ideal script for people that are joining the waiting room, where we want to say, make sure that your audio, make sure that your microphone's turned on, make sure, all basically our little waiting room type checklist. And this actually, to a point, actually sounds like, now, John, could you actually use your Zoom clip as a video in the waiting room?
Yeah, because it's just a MPG file or MP4 file. It's just a graphic file you upload. The only waiting room limitation at the moment is that if you're wanting a meeting room message in your waiting room, you can only have one. So if you want different meetings and different messages, you have to keep going into settings and changing it.
Right. Okay. But let's say we keep it really vanilla generic. That would be like even a Zoom-ish template looking. That was sort of my vision, was to actually, maybe this is something that we would actually do within the community and actually put up on Discord, was a thought that was throwing around in my mind of coming up with this as a, because we all have our, or at least it would be a starting point of, if you want to customize it, at least, making the actual audio portion of the voiceover, and then you just make the graphic video portion on your own. Or if you wanted it already done, and we would keep it very Zoom looking, because I know last week when I was mentioning to everyone that I was in 16 webinars. Yes, they were not using Zoom events, but yet they were using Zoom webinars. Long story there. So yes, they made me register 16 times. So I saw the vanilla in the waiting room all the time, that vanilla graphic all the time. And I was thinking to myself, there's got to, well, of course we all, us in the Zoom test kitchen, we already know that could be a video instead of it being a graphic. So I was just thinking earlier today that would be a great use case for AI to actually generate, using the Zoom colors, an actual waiting room video that we could actually give out to the community as at least a starting point for a lot of production companies that would be vanilla looking, Zoom looking, that might not be event looking, but if you wanted to go to that next level, of course, then the event company would just have to replace the actual video portion, and we could actually have the audio MP3 or whatever format we decide downloadable, so that you already have the person that is done the voiceover portion for that to be done. But it sounds like Zoom's thinking about what I'm already doing already. And pretty much that would actually be a no-brainer to actually get Zoom clips to actually do this. Thoughts, guys in the room?
We use them on one of our accounts where we give instructions on how to switch the interpretation on if you come in as an attendee. So that the what I haven't figured out is how to do that at a webinar level and not at the user level. That's something that's been tricky.
John, thoughts? I go back to you because I know you've been playing way too much in webinars because you've been doing too many of them. So
yeah, well, because I've now got this license and I've got Zoom sessions, everything just starts to get easier. I mean, if I had Zoom events, then things could be even easier than that. But yeah, my Zoom sessions does make things easier to do this sort of thing. Zoom events.
Yeah, so are you suggesting that what Robert's trying to do is in Zoom events right now or no?
Yeah, you can do it in Zoom events.
Okay.
Because you see, when you start running Zoom sessions and events, you get a hub. So you effectively get a entrance hall rather than a waiting room. You get an entrance hall, the hub, before you go into the event, and you can do lots of clever things to deliver content into the hub. And they're constantly adding more features so you can edit that to a higher and higher degree.
Right. So this will be a perfect spot. Again, the video I'm talking about, not necessarily being the waiting room now. This actually could be in the lobby now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually
And
was at a
effectively you've got an HTML editor to build that page. That's effectively what you got. You've got a web page editor, so you can add little videos and you can add instructions and you could put all that in there now.
right. Right. And that is going to expand as far as we've heard as well.
Yeah, they've gradually been adding things. There is I suppose I've not noticed it so much because I've been involved in it for the last year, but it's it's an order of magnitude ahead of what you can do in the basic event. You create a basic event in a meeting or a webinar. What you can do in sessions and events now is really an order of magnitude ahead. And although some of the things are filtering down to webinars, they're being very careful, and I don't blame them. They're being very careful not to give all the features for free to webinars. They're holding some of them back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, production studio is one of them, correct? I keep hearing that one all the time.
Well, I think there's a war going on in Zoom somewhere, because there are different camps that want to take production studio in different directions. So there'll be the people that will want to make it everything and put everybody else out of business. There's the people who want to leave it simple so that those people that can't buy ATEMs and all the other equipment have got an easy way to get into that world, and then they can justify to go on. Because if a corporate user has got limitless cash, but only when they can justify it. If they can take something simple like production studio and just show their bosses what an amazing event they can do with just a simple piece of software, then the boss is going to come back and say, okay, if I give you a budget, where can you take this? And that's when things get interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's people have been asking about putting controls onto Stream Deck, connecting Stream Deck to Production Studio. My solution: just get a touchscreen, because they're quite cheap nowadays. Just get a touchscreen, put Production Studio on a touchscreen, and then you can press it with your fingers. You can activate all the things. Most of the stuff you do in Production Studio is before the meeting anyhow. You get it all set up, and then it all just happens as you go. But yeah, there's going to be great. There has to be a point where Zoom says, look, we've done enough. If this product hasn't got enough bells and whistles, go and write an app. And that's what we're pushing in the developers side. By the way, I can give you an official announcement. How about another official app? This evening was the first meeting, or this afternoon in the US, was the first meeting of the MVPs for the developers community. So there are now 8 of us, I think, 8 developers who are now part of the developers forum community, who will be helping Zoom with their developing. And to be honest, maybe it's because they don't think I'm a very good coder, or I don't think I'm a very good coder, but I probably spend more of my time talking to the developers from a strategic point of view of why they might want to do the app in a certain way, or why they might want to actually make it work within the marketplace to get more publicity, than I do actually fixing bugs.
So more use cases.
Yeah, they say they want to do X, and they want to do it because they want to do it themselves. And they say, okay, well, that's really great, but would you like to make some money out of this? Would you like to share it to other people? Are you going to, and they say, well, yeah, I've got this thing. It's going to take all the transcripts and you put it through this AI and it writes a story about your business or something. I mean, no one's ever said that, but it's just a random thought I've just had. And then, of course, you're saying, well, okay, so you want to put it in the marketplace? Oh, no, I don't want to put it in the marketplace. Don't want anyone using it. You do realize the marketplace has a paywall now. People can pay to use your product, your app in the marketplace. And then they start thinking about it.
Into the real world.
Into the real world. Rather than just playing with apps, it's into the real world. Oh, we've done a good example tonight, haven't we? We've talked about 3 different apps that are in the marketplace that allow you to do overlays. Such a simple thing, because they're just text boxes and graphics boxes with coordinates sitting on the screen. It's from a programmer's point of view, it's very simple. But now start to think of all the different uses you could have for putting overlays. And please don't think of too many, because I'm trying to bring out apps myself and I don't want you to bring it out before me. But it's it gets interesting. It gets really interesting then. And there are a lot of people using the some of the free versions that do these lower thirds. There's actually a lot of people. There's a lot of users. A lot of corporate users are using it at the free level or the low level. It seems a big marketplace. There's a lot of mileage for a lot of tools. And I don't know of any. I was going to say any video company. I don't think I know of any company in the world that gives away so many opportunities through its API and its interface to actually make a product available. Which reminds me, I must get shares in Zoom. You can take the Zoom SDK and you can build your own browser-based app and then add anything of the features that Zoom has into your own app. So if you want to do an app about translating, like Robert may do, and you want to add the ability to have the pictures so people can come on the screen and look at each other, it's all available. You can build, you don't have to just build into the marketplace, you can go the other way around. I don't know if any other piece of software you've got that ability.
Exactly, John. And on top of that, too, we saw, and the perfect example is when Omar joined us today, doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
That in itself, I know, a more user-friendly and appliance-based product is needed in the broadcast industry. They need
you can niche a lot of products off that idea. There could easily be 20, 30, 40, 50 different apps in the marketplace that could all do specific things, taking advantage of that particular feature. There's lots of different ways. As you say, you can have well, even in the broadcast industry, you could have one that was specific. You could have a version of it specifically for getting people onto TV shows. Because you could dumb down the interface, get rid of all the buttons that don't be needed. In other words, you just opt them out of the system. So you just take all the buttons out that don't need to be there, leave the buttons in that you do need, add any other features you want to have, like maybe you want to have the chat working so you can tell them when they're coming on, but you could completely customize it, and then you could sell that as a dedicated device. And of course, at the other end, it's just a Zoom client. So at the other end,
rename the buttons, John, so that they look like the ones that they had previously.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because again, the Skype TX, and this is again my opinion, and I've discussed it with a few people, is that the next person that replaces that VizRT 1U unit that David was talking about in YouTube chat, and I was talking about as well, which is the 1U Skype convertible unit that is basically a PC. So it could be a Zoom room in this case, PC, that has the capability of having an external capture card. So a DeckLink Quad equivalent. It could even be a DeckLink Quad or another manufacturer that has capabilities of doing 4 or 8 outputs out of it. And then you would just have to make sure that screen could actually see each person that you've allocated to it, so that you have a bit of a confidence monitor built into the interface, so that you now know that, okay, yeah, I've assigned this person to that. Okay, are you bringing in the video? I see it there, so I know it's going to be coming out the SDI now. And which SDI port am I routing it to? This one. Okay. And am I also running the audio out there, or am I running the audio in XLR? And that is also important too, because in the VizRT world, they do that as well. Is that they also not only have the SDIs, but they also have the XLRs right there too, which is similar to like Robert's doing with Zoom ISO when he had me looking up the USB interface unit that had multiple outs, not necessarily any ins. That's the same scenario in this too, is that this would be a 1U rack mountable unit that would go into a road case, or in the broadcast world will go into one of their 42U racks that they have. And trust me, there's some of these locations that have probably good 5, if not 10 of them, that they will easily bring in, because they've got, not only have they got the people that are all live on the news doing it, but they've also got people waiting, right? And that is the other capability that would be needed too, that, yeah, you could have 20 people coming into one meeting, but you only need that one person at a time, or you might need 3 of the people coming at that time. But you all have them come in at that one meeting, because now you can actually flop them in and out. And that one meeting could be officially a show, where that meeting turns into a backstage.
Exactly. And you just specified the technology we've been shown today, but you just specified a version specifically for broadcast world.
Yeah.
I mean, April the 1st is 3 weeks away. So what you could do is you could take the Zoom SDK, you could get rid of all the other buttons and just put the Skype buttons in there, and then let everybody who's, missing Skype run Zoom with the Skype buttons.
Well, heaven forbid too, and I'm not going down this road, nor am I promoting it, but you could always, format the hard drive that these units come in. And if I have an ISO that has all this capability that I can install, because it is a PC in the end, it is a Windows PC in the end that they're running. So if this was a custom, Zoom Rooms, whatever, I keep calling it by the old name, the Zoom Rooms Pro AV. I can always remember that name more than the new one. If it's an ISO that I download that does that and automatically, all of a sudden, because again, as long as it's Windows based in the actual ISO already, it should automatically detect all the hardware. I might need a couple of drivers here and there for the capture cards in the audio interface, but should be fairly easy to convert these boxes into those other boxes. I do know Jonas has actually used some of the old Wowza boxes. That's right. Wowza used to have a different product that was actually a PC based product, and he's actually bought a lot of those off of eBay, which has saved him lots of money, because those boxes were thousands and thousands of dollars when they initially came out, and was able to convert those boxes for his needs as well. But yeah. So I've floated this out there into the universe, into the Zoomiverse, but it's no takers as of yet. Go ahead, Robert.
It's half an hour past midnight here where I am, and I'm going to have to leave just now. But before I go, John, a lot of people that I work with are really negative about using Zoom events because of the barrier of having an account and registration and authentication. Can you just tell us and everyone what the simplest way to let people into a Zoom event is?
Just send the link. The reason I'm using Zoom sessions and not Zoom events is because I have my own database, my own CRM, and I can send out my own invites, and I will then register the people en masse to the event, and then they just get a link. And if I make it just a webinar, then they go straight in. If I make it a Zoom session, then we have the hub, and then they go in through the hub. If I have it an event, then they go in through the hub, and there could be multiple meetings or webinars within that. Plus sponsors sections, you can have sponsors in there, and you can have a little Zooms, so you can have sponsor rooms where people can go and have conversations with those sponsors, or anybody else. You've got help groups or whatever, or support groups you want to have part of the event. they can go to them like a show show would have.
And if you're just sending out a link to them, that means that they could actually get on via the browser and not necessarily download the app and get into the app.
Yeah, if you're just doing normal Zoom events, then you haven't got any fancy things. It's the speakers that usually need to have the full version. I think you can get to Backstage now from the browser, but before Christmas you couldn't get to the Backstage with the browser, so you had to have the full version. But there'll always be a lag between those two versions because of the technicalities. I mean, I think it's amazing what they're able to pack into the browser. To be honest, I wouldn't have dreamt a couple of years ago that so many of the features that are in the normal app are actually in the browser version as well. But yeah, you can make it. I think that the best answer I can give you to pass on is you can make it as simple or as complicated as you like. If you know who the people are, you can pre-register them into Zoom webinars and they get sent an invite link from Zoom and then they can just join the webinar. Nothing else to do. If you want to make it more complicated, then you can either use Zoom events to do all the housekeeping for you, the registering people and sending them the follow-up emails and all that sort of thing, of which you can send 3. Or you can do what I do, which, as I said, is to run it in my CRM marketing database. I use an API. I use Pabbly, although Zapier is possible as well. So I will collect people in my CRM. They book in, they pay on my CRM. It's all controlled there. But I can use an API, to go to Zoom and get their personal Zoom link, drag that back into my database, then I can send them emails out with their personal links, exactly as Zoom would do. And then it's easy. And if people ring up the event organizer the night before, panicking because they can't find their link, you can go into the system and you can find the individual link for somebody and send it to them. It's a very neat package. And now Simulive has got this feature. You can do all the pre-show start pre-recorded and just chuck that into Simulive, and then when you want the event to go live, just take over. And that means you don't have to worry about that bit of it. You can concentrate on getting everything else sorted, and it's just playing. And if you're running Simulive, you don't even have to have your computer set up properly until you take control. That makes life easier as well. Quite often I run events and I've got to have my 2 or 3 computers all logged in and into the event an hour before it starts. Half an hour for me to make sure the settings go, and then I have to run it for half an hour just so it's in the event, so that people can turn up early, make sure it's working, go away and have a cup of tea, and then come back at the live time. And I just run video of slides, use it's just a slideshow, which I could have pre-recorded, and some music, which again I could have pre-recorded. And then when I want to take over. And at the other level, if you're going to do lots of marketing events, you do the first bit pre-recorded. Nobody turns up to your event. You can just turn it off, can't you? Just end the event. You don't have to do the rest of it if there's nobody there. So you can do speculative events without having to worry about running Zoom every 5 minutes because you get it to be run automatically. So yeah, it's as easy or as hard as you want to make it at the end of the day. How hard do you want to push the people to turn up with follow-up emails? How hard do you want to make it to let them to register? And it doesn't matter. And if people think that buying a copy of Zoom webinar is expensive, just remind them how much WebEx used to cost a few years ago. They are, because they've got this £10 a month product or $15 a month product called Zoom, they don't seem to want to spend any more money. If their events aren't good enough, then they can't spend. And if they want to go over the 100 rate, we've got all these business accounts now available, so you can pay an extra $7 or something, $7, £5, I think it is, and you can now get 300 people in the room. And once you get 300 people in the room, really, I don't think you've got any excuse not to want to upgrade to the bigger system, because now you're getting decent numbers in. And even if you only charged them a couple of dollars, you'd have all your costs covered.
Yeah, Perfect. That's a very good description. Thank you, John.
That's all right. I feel like an evangelist for Zoom sometimes rather than but you know, the nice thing of being a Zoom developer, a Zoom community champion, Zoom Test Kitchen is it's the collective experience of being in all those little places. You know, it's not 1 + 2 + 3, it's 1 × 2 × 3.
Mm-hmm.
You just pick up, somebody will put a comment into the developers forum and I go, wow, I didn't think of that use case. And then somebody will put something in the community thing. I'm like, oh, crikey, you need to do so-and-so. And it always flips around from one to the other. So that's why I do it, because frankly, it gives me a much better oversight of where people can take things, what they've done, and where the problems are.
Yep. And if I can just share my latest toy with you guys, maybe useful for other people as well. I've had one of these for a long time, and I've used it for editing purposes on DaVinci Resolve. And Jonas recently showed me something that I wasn't very aware of. You can change the interface to have an XLR input into it. And that means that you've actually got a sound card that takes in XLR, puts it into the USB-C port into your computer. And what's really nice about it is that you've got the volume button off your microphone over here. And if you're listening in, there's also a headphone jack. You can put your headsets on and listen through there, and at a trot level as well. So it's got a lot of good things happening there. And of course, being an Elgato product, you've got the software that goes in that allows you to mix in different sources of what you're doing for your streams or whatever. I'm really looking at someone who is online streaming by himself or talking on a Zoom meeting. So my thinking at the moment is that when we have talent and we want them to get set up properly, this is starting to become an option where you can just set it up, send it to them by courier. It's got the right mic, it's got the USB cable, it's set up already. They plug it in and you get online with them, switch it on, test it, and there's adjust your volume by doing this. You watch the volume. Okay, everything's fine. Just don't touch it anymore till we get online. And
right. Robert, the only thing that I would be wondering about is the audio and video being out of sync. But if you're just talking translation of audio, I see it.
Am I out of sync?
No. I'm saying, no, you're using it now is what you're about to tell me.
Yep, I'm using it now.
Okay. All right. That would be my only concern. And again, you just convinced me that it's not a concern anymore. So because again, having using two different USB ports, there is the potential of, because you're not bringing everything into one USB port, like I am with the ATEM, where everything's being combined and bringing in that one cable in, where if you have two, again, if they're both on the same USB bus, I would get worried. In this case, of course, you're running into a Mac, so that's itself a totally different ballgame too, because of the fact that you're probably plugged into a USB 4 port, aka Thunderbolt port, with that, correct?
Yes, I am, but I don't think that's affecting the lag, if there is any lag between the audio and the video. I prefer to do it this way than to put it through the ATEM Mini, because once again, the ATEM Mini only has an unbalanced input, which is just disastrous for production.
And of course, I've convinced you differently because I've been using this setup for months now, and you haven't complained once about my audio. So
yeah,
I'm going to assume that it's okay.
You've got a shielded cable that is about 3 millimeters long that connects to your ATM to your
I know. I know better. I've been doing this too long. That's my official answer to that. But before Robert disappears, I'm going to do something that he asked me last time. And now it's becoming a big hit because I even heard Fred making comments about it. I must.
Well, I Robert, were working around the Zoom in the box concept as well. So I agree with you about that. So and that's why it was so great to see the new Mac Mini being even smaller, because then it makes it even easier to make a Zoom in the box sort of package, as you say, that you can send to talent, and it's all set up and ready.
Yeah, just
And now time for a song.
John, just a quick question. Have you got a preferred camera that you're sending out to the talent?
We can't have that conversation in front of Mike. He's gonna start laying into me. The Ozbot.
Nothing wrong with the Ozbot, but again,
I think the Ozbot for talent for a small setup is a really good option.
Yeah, but what I would do in Robert's case, if Robert is really getting into all Elgato, is look at the Elgato webcam one, the 4K webcam. You might as well, Robert, because their software will work with it, right? So you're already having them install the software already at their end in the audio portion. Again, you might as well go down that road of the equivalent. The model is not coming to me right now, but the webcam one that I'm thinking about is the one that was built in mind from Elgato's point of view for the teleprompter.
Exactly. That was my thinking as well. We've been testing the a setup where we'd have, depending on the talent, whether he wants the teleprompter or not, we could send that with the camera all set up ready and just in the box and ready to go.
Yeah. Right.
But if the teleprompter isn't prompting, you can use it to put the display all the people, so he's looking at the people he's having a conversation with.
Correct. Thank you very much, guys.
On that note, it is time. And we're going to say goodbye. But first, at request, sing along if you know the song.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to toy. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in the tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the set and explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. The Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with us. Sing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks, we'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes and test functionalities, join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on the step that's we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth. Keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we got your back, no wreck.
All right. You heard it here. That's version 2 that I played there. So I want to thank everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to let YouTube know, and of course Zoom know, how much you like our content. And don't forget, we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And we will see everyone here next week for another edition of the Zoom Test Kitchen. Take care.